He's never come on the show to defend himself before, but he's been talked about by us and guests repeatedly. He's been all around the world when it comes to playing on Pro League teams, and he's even won a Pro League championship all the way back when we went to Japan for now, hopefully the second time, because we will be going in Osaka in November. But still, the Japanese Pro League final in Tokoname was won by Navi, and this man right here was a big part of it. And I will say, while it wasn't technically a victory on your end, the tweet you put out when G2 won SI, the crying face with the mask in front of it, might be one of my favorite tweets I have ever seen in the history of our esport. Please welcome our guest. He goes by Ben in real life. You know him as CTZN. Welcome on the show. We were joking that your camera looks like a mugshot because you've blended the background. Hopefully it'll be a lighter affair than forcing you in imprisonment here in our show for the next 2 hours. I'm not going to say it's going to be a quick one because we actually have no idea how long this one's going to take. But please welcome. Is this your first podcast ever?
First podcast ever, yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, it is great to have you on. We always say that when we talk about people, if there is ever any hint of drama or anything along those lines, we always want to bring people on to tell their story, providing they have a good story. And I think you have a great story to tell. And we've actually had a lot of your former teammates on over the last little while. It's really weird. It's like most of our guests are connected to you in some way, from the current Dark Zero squad in the organization to NJR to Nafe and so on and so forth. So it'll be nice to have you on here. Announced earlier today, you are now on a new team. Do you want to start off the show by talking about that, Ben?
Yeah, joined Fnatic today. Just got announced this morning. Looking forward to playing EU on Monday.
That's crazy. On Monday, when, for the record, we are recording on a Saturday. You will probably be watching this on Monday. That's my guess. Maybe Tuesday. Hopefully Monday. Hopefully we get it out in time. How did this new Fnatic roster come to be?
Well, after the... Can I swear or no?
Of course.
Yeah, after the secret shit show, basically, like, they just reached out to me. And, yeah, just talks from there. Talks from, like, as well, like, other teams as well. But then, like, I think just focus on Fnatic. Didn't really want to get messed around by other teams again. And, yeah, so far so good. Been there for a week, had trial scrims. Everything's going good, you know, just excited to play Monday.
I think it'll be exciting to see that Fnatic roster back in action. What is it with Fnatic? I mean, you've watched them in all your co-streams, and of course, you know more about the actual workings of the teams. That Fnatic roster has not really. Well, I mean, obviously, hopefully, with this new roster, they change this. But what is it about the previous iterations of that org that just like they never seem to live up to the reputation that Fnatic, the organization, has? Right? Like this is one of the biggest esports orgs in the history of gaming. What's been going on with them?
Yeah, I mean, at least from my standpoint, watching too, it seems like they don't really give their players enough of a chance. I actually really like the core of this team. I have glazed that Wizard guy, so congrats on joining Wizard's team because I think that guy's the GOAT. That guy's the Don over there. That's the EU stomping. So I don't know. I feel like there's so much potential at certain times with that team. I really like when Sarks was over there. I have no idea why he left the team. I don't know if he just got a better offer to go to Geek.
More money.
More money? Is that what it was? Okay, so more money. That's good to know because sometimes I don't really hear some of the EU stuff. So I was a big fan of him, that young team with him, Wizard, even Croxon was a good fragger. I know he was just recently dropped. But their coaching staff gets a lot of hate. Speaking of that, maybe that's an episode in the future. But I know that Reddit loves to talk about Sathis a good amount after the Meepy dropping. I don't know how, like, Meepy is another story that seems to come up a lot. We've had some of his former teammates say he might have been a check stealer as well. So who knows? That goes back to that rogue roster, like all the way back. I mean, I don't know how much Fnatic is investing into that team as well. I know they are a big organization, but I don't know money situation if they're paying like a contender, because I know like we have some big organizations in the NAL, Cloud9, but that doesn't mean that they're paying to win, right? They're just kind of paying to compete in the NAL, so there's a difference. But I'm excited. I want to know, Ben, though, like, was Fnatic an option earlier in your career? Because after the DZ times, I thought there was a rumor linked, maybe you, Nafe, maybe even Spoit, going over to that region. Is there anything you could kind of tell me on that?
Yeah, that was after M80, that rumor that we was looking to join, like, there's an offer going there, but then they didn't. I mean, Spoit. It's kind of hard to afford him right now, for how big he is. So went through that end, and then obviously I messaged like DZ, and then they were looking for a player as well, and then had trials with them, got accepted to them, and went from there.
And with Fnatic, because I feel like I ask every guest this, was this like your best offer, or was there some other on the table you're maybe interested in? Because you're kind of all over. You're not a stranger to playing in North America. I don't know if any other region has reached out to you as well and maybe piqued your interest. But yeah, was there anything other than Fnatic kind of floating around for you?
It's so long ago, I don't really remember. All I remember is that team was forming though.
Okay. Oh, I meant right now.
Yeah. Oh, well, this team right now?
Yes,
Yeah, I had well, there was some talks with like GK and stuff like that, but then like they were just kind of like messing around a little bit. I don't really know what's going on there, so obviously you just went with Fnatic, and yeah, I'm actually kind of really enjoying myself right now.
Speaking of GK, so I don't know if our viewers are aware of this, but like the Rainbow Six Esports tab leaked all the rosters before most of the orgs had done announcements, which yours was leaked a couple days ago. The GK squad is Ask from Brazil, Uper, who was on that Heretic squad that people knew, Gruby, same Heretic squad, Sarks, Yaga, and Shepherd. I don't know who's going to be a sub or where, but that is a team where never in a million years did I think you would see Ask, Yaga, and Shepherd all in the same team, and then it's like that's ignoring the other guys on it. So that's really something. Don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that roster. I mean, obviously I don't look at a roster and ever want them to not succeed, but that one's just a bit.
Yeah, I think Shepherd is the coach though, so he doesn't.
Is he
play
coaching?
anymore.
He's coaching.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, it's
It's
weird
still-
because it doesn't have him listed. It doesn't have him listed on the thing. It has him listed as a player. So I mean, obviously that can change. I love Shepherd. I'd like to have him on the show at some point, but I mean, he always pretends he doesn't know English whenever I try to get him on the show. Just a quick question for you, Ben. You know him decently well. You think it was time for him to retire? You think he can still hang as a player, Shepherd?
I actually don't know really, because like the thing is with Shepherd, he seems just a straight system one way guy. Like they tried to adapt him, but then it was kind of rocky. But they still like, even when they did like start changing the way they play, they made like top 4 Sao Paulo. The invite.
Yeah.
So I think like he probably could still hang. I think like he's still got like a great mind, and he's not like terrible play. He's not going like -30 like every single stage. Like he still can do reasonably well. So I don't think I think maybe he wanted to like go the coaching role and like start sharing his like knowledge towards everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes
'Cause
sense.
I was there in GK trials actually, and they were trialing coaches, and it was like him, Alems, and then the other one I don't know because I didn't do the third. But obviously Alems made pro league, so like he didn't bother doing the coach, and then obviously they just got Shepherd in.
I mean, this is kind of the same conversation that's been going on with Troy, right? Like Troy's obviously a great IGL. I don't think anybody's denying that. His team just made top 2 in an event, but obviously Troy's numbers were poor from like a kill perspective, and obviously brought a lot of controversy towards him and the team. And I mean, he even noted that there hasn't, despite the fact that they made top 2 at Salt Lake City, he received more negativity after that event than any event before, which is insane when you think about it. Like, you just finished top 2 at an event and people are like, retire, you suck, retire, you suck. Like, I think a guy like Shepherd absolutely could still hang. And obviously I'm biased, but then again, I don't know what any of these people are like to team with. I don't know the systems well enough. Not certainly like a coach or a player would. So, but I mean, a bit, frankly, let's address it right now. We'll talk about it later, but it's like, you are one of the players that also gets a lot of attention, let's put it that way, whether you win or lose. So it's just whether it's the public just picks people that they want to dog on, or whether it's the role you play on, etc. Sometimes it just kind of confuses us as to why people just latch on to hate. Like, I can understand why guys like Stompin' and Spoit and all that get like a big amount of feedback whenever they do well or do poorly, and it's because of, like, as you said, like Spoit, like, look at the size of their audiences. Like, Stompin' has, like hundreds of thousands of fans. Polo had hundreds of thousands of fans. Like, when these guys do poorly, their fans can turn on them. That just unfortunately comes with the popularity in the turf. Team Liquid deals with that in Brazil as well. So I don't know. I don't know why the public does that, but It's sorry, I'm still waking up. It's a bit unfortunate. Sathis obviously gets a lot of controversy too. So does Meepy. We actually had Meepy on the show a long time ago. Might actually be beneficial to bring him on at some point. But all these people are irrelevant because right now we have you. So let's do what we do with most of our guests. And unless there's anything that you really want to talk about right now, what we typically do is we run through like the timeline of your career. So the first bit, Ben, is usually who is Ben as a person? What brought you to Rainbow Six Siege? How did you start your career? And blah, 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 blah. Now I can ask you questions or I can just let you go if you want and talk about how you found Siege. What were you doing before gaming? Tell us about your life story or tell us as much or as little about your life story as you want.
Yeah, so the way I got into Siege, playing football, some like teammates, like friends at the time, were like told me to buy Siege and play with them, and that's where it all started. I played Siege on Xbox, then got a job, made some money, got a PC, still working, and just like as a side, like it's just a hobby, you know. I was just playing for fun, didn't really think nothing of it. Used to play like CCS when it first started out, like all the way back then. Played that with like some just friends I had on PC, and then for the MNM to join them, I was just like again just playing ranked, playing these little tournaments, and then I remember I think it was Prox at the time. He just messaged me, or Nello, one of them, and they just messaged me saying like they want to join MNM. I said obviously just said yeah because they were a better team. And thought like the team at the time I wasn't really doing too well on, and then obviously joined them, qualified for the UK LAN, and then it just went off from there.
Did you ever expect to make your career in esports, or like many people, did you just kind of fall into it and just say, hey, I'm good, I'll just keep going?
Yeah, I fell into it. I think nowadays, like, people actually actively, like, going out to be, like, an esports player. Back then, like, I just playing around, like, just messing around, you know, and got picked up because it wasn't really, like, a sought-out job. Like, nothing was really concrete. It just happened.
Were you playing, like, any other FPS games or anything on console before you got into Siege?
Yeah, I was playing so much COD. I think I've played, like, literally every COD apart from, like, COD 4 and up. I've played every single one. Yeah, I just smashed that game. I used to have a friend as well from school, and he actually played at one of the COD LANs. Like, we used to bum out quite a lot.
Gonna say there had to be some influence of FPS because I still feel like Siege is like a hard game to just pick up and try to learn,
Yeah.
especially 2018, I guess it was at that time, 2017, 2018. But
Yeah.
it's like most people either came from like COD or Halo was pretty big back then, or even Gears of War, or like some type of FPS kind of experience. So it's just kind of interesting to hear. There's some players too. I think Skies was one that told me he actually had no FPS experience at all. He just played Madden and sports games all the time, and then randomly got into Siege. His friends made him download it. That's always crazy to me. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I remember playing the alpha and the beta, and I just like got rid of it. Like I didn't like it, and then I think like it was the year one, season 3. I think after the border one, the Blackbeard and Valk. That's when I fully got into Siege.
Yeah.
Started playing it properly on console. That is.
I mean, that's Dustline. That was what? That was the second. It was the second season, right?
Yeah.
Because the first one was Buck and Frost.
Yeah.
you were a Blackbeard main, weren't you?
No, I just played Ash. Now, to be fair, actually, when I first started Siege, I was like full support, like Thermite Rook back then, you know. And then obviously, I actually left console and just started playing Ash and stuff.
What
I hope you
Ash.
I hope you
Just
understand. There's somebody out there who heard you say you play support and then mention Rook's name, and they just about had a heart attack. So, like the thought that Rook was a support operator at some point in time in this game's history has just made somebody's head explode.
The C4. But I used to, I mean, to be fair, I did copy Sharko back then. I think that's also what brought me onto the Ashella stuff. Yeah.
That's what I think I remember seeing a tweet that you were like a big, kind of like a fan of him back then.
Yeah, like I was literally, that was before I qualified for the UK LAN, and I remember I used to be one of those guys that sit there like, oh, I need to change my sense, stuff like this, and didn't know what sense to choose, and I just chose his, and I just stuck with it, and brought me here. So good choice back then.
It is crazy to me the amount of people who just like when they want to go pro, they'll just look up a pro sense and be like, well, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then they just copy it, and then it works that way. And there's whole like websites and ecosystems for this stuff too. I saw it on the. It was actually posted on the subreddit recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good starting spot, to be honest. When you don't know your sense, just find a pro sense because it's not going to be anything crazy high or really even that crazy slow. It's usually
Yeah.
everyone's around kind of the same, which is like 12-12 something.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of go from there. So it's not a bad starting spot.
What DPI do you play, Ben?
400.
Ooh, still an OG.
He's an elbow player. He's an elbow
He's
player.
well, he is. I mean, you even have kind of like your posture like Shaiko too, no? Like, aren't you kind of like on the table a little bit?
No, he copied me. I changed the plot.
Okay.
We all remember Shaiko. I'm not saying he did copy me, obviously, but
Yeah.
he used to have like the weird one, and I never could
Mhm.
do that. I remember Berlin Majors when I fully like, I was getting like, I didn't feel comfortable, so I just moved. I copied Simple actually, you know, when he was in his prime.
Yep.
He's a pretty good person to copy as well.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Shaiko and Simple have often been referred to as each other in their respective esports. I've heard tons of people say that Shaiko's kind of career trajectory and Simple seem to be very, very similar. So we will see if Shaiko's able to win as much as Simple did.
He's won the same, to be fair, I'd say. Both won major, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I remember when CS2 came out and Simple like basically like quit, right? And now he's
Yeah, the
back.
Ukraine war.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays for BC Game.
Yeah. So you get involved. You get involved in CCS. You like many, there are a lot of really good CCS alumni. CCS, by the way, for people who don't know, was the largest amateur non-pro league in Rainbow Six Siege. It's where I made I didn't make my casting start there. I was casting before that in even smaller leagues, but it was seen as a developmental league for so many. Lots of good players started there. A lot of casters started there. It's where Flynn started. It's where I got my first, big break. It's where Ace of Pyrite also started and XR Troika. So lots of good people coming from CCS. And there was actually a tweet from CCS a couple days ago, was it? Or like a week or two ago, where it was like a waving emoji. And it's like, if CCS got brought back, obviously it's got to compete against Element, but I still think
more.
Yeah, I mean, there's no harm in having more competition outside of pro play. Yeah. You end up linking up with MNM Gaming, but it's listed as Team Boost was your first team. How long were you with Team Boost for, and who did you play with?
That was probably like 3 to 6 months. That's an OG team. That was me, Dan from VP. We used to team back then when everyone thought he was cheating. That was Tyrant, Blur, and the last one was just remember Astro? We used to play for
Yep.
Secret. It was him and then or someone else. It's hard to get a fifth back then, but yeah, it's me, Dan, Tyrant, and Blur. Those are the main 4.
In 2018, you were playing with all pros, or would-be future pros.
Future pros, and Kayak as well. Kayak was also in the friend group. He used to play with us as well.
It's crazy to me because it's like people be like, yeah, I started on this team, and then they name a bunch of their teammates, and they're all people you've never heard of because they didn't go anywhere, and it was like they were the shining star, and then they would go on. But it's like you literally played with a bunch of pros in 2018 in amateur leagues, and then of course all of you would end up splitting up. But that's crazy. Was there ever a thought when you were playing with them? I mean, obviously the goal is probably to go pro, but was there ever a thought we can do this, or was that too far ahead?
That was too far ahead. I remember we used to just literally play ranked and play CCS, and that was it. Barely scrim as well. Just play for fun back then, you know.
So how did you end up getting picked up on MNM? Was it just Nello messaging you or whoever it was just saying hey, you want to play, or what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of talking with Dokie as well because we used to play Dokie back then was just he was just turned 18. He's probably just out drinking, partying most of the time. So it was hard to actually get him onto a team. And then we'd message him a lot, saying, "Oh, do you want to play Go Force with us?" And then he'd be like, "Yeah." And then he plays with Penghu, so you had a little connection from that. And then he was on the team, and then that was the old MNM though. That was it was me, Prox, Turtle, Nello, and I can't remember the 5th. I can't remember. But that was the first UK Prem LAN, you know.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Oh, those are the UK. What did they call it? They didn't call it UKIP, did they?
I think it was Prem. It was UK Prem.
Okay.
ESL
yeah,
UK
or
Prem,
UKIN or something like that, because it was United Kingdom, Ireland, or something like that.
That's the after one. Yeah, that's the newer version. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not as well versed with some of the I don't want to say smaller European leagues because I feel that comes across as demeaning, but I didn't have a good set of eyes on the UK stuff or Benelux, so I don't have that institutional knowledge. I didn't work it. I didn't watch a lot of it, but I thought that those like smaller regional leagues were really important, especially like the Nordic ones. You know, like there was a time where like Finland ran a portion of the EU scene. You know, like there was always a
Yeah.
really good Finnish team, and now it's like you had that Panohone team where, I mean, they dropped one of the Finns for you on Fnatic. So I mean, you're stealing Finnish jobs now because Huava, I think, got dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know
Look
what
at
happened at
look at
Fnatic.
you taking Finnish jobs, unbelievable. But no, I thought those regional leagues were cool. And then you end up on MNM. What kind of person are you? Are you the kind of person where you're like, hey, I'm now like playing in the big leagues. I'm playing with pros. This is awesome. Or are you like, this is just a job, whatever, like cool, I'm gonna suit up and do battle. Like, is there like a human element to it where you're like, this is cool as hell, like I'm at the top?
I'd say that was more like when I joined G2. And like M18, like Sonics around there, like when I was actually teaming with like the Navi team, we kind of came up together. So it wasn't like, oh, like these guys are crazy pros, they've won this and that, like compared to like joining G2, and I'm with like Penghu, Kanto, people
Mhm.
like that, you know, it's just completely different. But yeah, we used to just play for fun, really. Like that's like it's kind of like a friend group, couple arguments, screamers, but we didn't really care, and just yeah, that's probably one of the most fun times I've had like in the siege in general. Them and the UK LANs. The UK LANs were like, oh man, those LANs are literally the best. I wish we could do some more UK LANs. They are so good.
I thought Manchester was an incredible event. I'm always down. As much as I make fun of England because my entire family is Scottish, and also it's just really easy to make fun of the English just for cheap laughs on social media. So for English viewers, I don't actually mean it. I did have a good time in Manchester. The event was very British. I worked with all the British talent, so by the
Yeah.
end of it, I was like, I would like to not be surrounded by British people. I was like, it'd be nice to
Wow.
have, not in a bad way, just it gets very British. You know what I'm talking about, Kyle.
It gets very
It
British.
just gets very British. And it's like,
Mhm.
it's not a bad thing, but it's like when, you work like Salt Lake City, there were no Brits there. And I was like, this isn't British enough. Sometimes the pendulum swings both ways. The regional lands were cool. You played at DreamHack Valencia? How many DreamHacks did you go to? Because I always liked those as well. I felt those were kind of like smaller community vibes. Not probably the same as like the regional lands, but they had like that kind of community feel to them. I always really liked the DreamHacks. I don't know what your experience was.
But that was my first like actual like LAN, you know, like international LAN, I'd say, because
Was
I only went
Valencia?
to only Valencia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was with like that's when we just got into Navi as well. Played back when Aces was on that team. I forget what they're called, like the LFO team.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But yeah, I didn't mind the DreamHacks. I think it was a lot less like, I don't know, like nothing was like too serious. It's just like all the games are split. There's not really like a lot of people there. You're just like kind of playing each other just on LAN, you know. It's not really
Mhm.
like a crowd or anything.
I mean, there would be for the finals. There'd be like 20 people in the audience. Most of them
Yeah.
would be eliminated players who
Yeah,
weren't.
like, I would be there. Yeah, me, Dokie, all them.
Kyle, I mean, you went to a bunch of DreamHacks. I thought DreamHacks were awesome. I always looked forward to them. I'll be frank, they didn't pay very well, but that didn't really matter. Like you weren't going to get like a lot of accolades or pay. You're going because it's like it. And I don't know if you guys ever experienced this. The big thing for me was DreamHack Austin was such a formative experience because it was the first time I felt like we were part of a bigger scene. Like, when you're getting into Rainbow Six Siege, as you already pointed out, Kyle, like people don't just get into Rainbow. Like usually you start somewhere else. So it's like when you think of esports, you think of like Counter-Strike, you think of Call of Duty, you think of StarCraft. Like at the time, PUBG esports were really big. You think of Overwatch. The Overwatch League was huge.
Mhm.
Fortnite at the time was huge. And then I would just be like, yeah, I cast Rainbow Six Siege. And even to like other people in esports, they'd be like, what is that? And I'm like, well, I feel like impotent. I feel unimportant. Like you don't know my esport. Like that sucks. So when we went to DreamHacks, like it felt like you were there with family, and it was really cool to like be able to walk a couple steps and go to like a Counter-Strike booth and stuff. I don't know if you guys experienced that, but it felt very like comfortable at DreamHack, and I do really miss that. I hope they come back at some point.
Yeah, I hope they come back. I think it was really cool as a team that's not like I think back then only the top 2 teams were making LAN out of each region, maybe 3, I don't even know, but I was like right on the cusp of like not making events because we were like a 3rd place perennial team. We can never get over like Rogue and EG. So it was always nice for like the bottom tier teams, I guess you could say, because it was like a guaranteed LAN. As long as your organization would pay for it, you got to travel and go to a LAN. And like back in
Yeah.
2019 when we were barely getting paid, it was just like really cool say you're a pro going to events. And of course, I remember being there and like we were all like you're saying, like we were like puppy-eyed looking at these other games. Even Rocket League was pretty big back then. And
Yep.
we were on Flipside at the time, so it was like watching the Flipside Rocket League team, which I believe was the best team at that time, with like Cuxier 97, whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Some of the other like goats of the scene back then. Like it was really cool to like you're a part of an org and you can see the other teams in that organization. I always wanted to meet the Flipside CS:GO team at that time because Blade was always my favorite player of all time. Now he's the coach, but yeah, it was a surreal experience because it was like more like grassroots, like what I grew up watching, like Halo, right? Like more like
Yep.
people would break. I think there was literally an event where Rogue didn't sign up in time and they had to bring their own PCs from home and play in the open qualifier area, and they're like playing against kind of like bums, but people that are just showing up because anyone could show up, which is cool. Like that was what's cool about DreamHack. Anyone could compete, and you can qualify and play against pros. Possibly, I don't think anyone ever did because we had teams like Rogue that would go there and stomp on everyone's dreams. But yeah, I mean, overall, minors wish they would come back. But what would be better is we just had more majors. I mean, hey, fill up the schedule with more majors. That'd be sick too.
Yeah,
Look,
for sure.
I'm not going to say no to more events, but I mean, even smaller events were good. Sorry, Ben, I don't know if you wanted to.
No. I just agree. More majors.
I just think more LAN experience is good.
Yes.
Right. And I mean, it is kind of sad that DreamHack announced a couple days ago that they're actually ending the BYOC program. So for people who don't know, like DreamHack started in like a cavern, like a barn in like Sweden, where it's just like a bunch of people would just bring LANs and that was it. And that was DreamHack. Like, and then naturally there was like some scope creep that came in and DreamHack started adding like sponsors and adding like esports events. And it was like, it doesn't matter what event it was, whether it was like Montreal or like Atlanta or like Valencia, there was always a gigantic like BYOC, bring your own computer like system where people would bring their own thing and they would like build stuff around it and they'd sleep there. And it was really, really cool. Granted, I haven't been to a DreamHack since we did DreamHack Winter, which was what, 4 years ago, I think at this point. But they said that it didn't make sense economically to allow people to bring their computers, which sucks, right? Like that's kind of an ending of an era. But I do remember that there would be teams that would qualify for BYOC, and I think it was Rogue. I think it was like some fucking heavy hitter team brought their own computers and just shit stomped their way through a bunch of just like friendship teams. It was great. It was good stuff. And it's like, it's crazy because that kind of thing is also just really good engagement. Like think about the community casts and all that jazz. Like there were so many opportunities there for people to just make content out of it. And it sucks that we don't have access to that now. So
I think one of the coolest parts about that real quick was just that anyone that was attending could walk over to that area and watch. Like you could stand right behind them. I believe their coach at the time was, oh man, who was that guy on YouTube that makes
Reaper?
Like Reaper.
Was it Reaper?
It
was Reaper, right?
Reaper. Yeah, and like so there was kind of like some hype around him a little bit because I think it was like our first imported coach to NA. I think it was at the time, and he was kind of getting big on YouTube or on content at that time. But it, like literally, I just remember like just fans. You're just walking around and you could just stand right behind them, right behind Eclipse, who was like their star player, or right behind Snake Nade, and you just watch them play, listen to the comms, everything. It was very, very different experience.
You go from your friendship squad to MNM, and what ends up happening ultimately with MNM before you go to Na'Vi? Because I say this because I don't know, and I'm not digging for drama here, but MNM as an organization did not exactly have the best end of their time in Rainbow Six Siege. They basically seemingly like went kaput and then left with a lot of people being owed a lot of money.
Yeah, they scammed.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd heard was that some of the players were not paid, which again is a reoccurring theme in all esports, but also our esport. What happened with MNM? Was it a harmonious end before you went to Na'Vi, or was there some friction there when you left?
No, my time in MNM, like nothing. I got paid. I wasn't getting paid a lot, obviously, like, but I think it was like $1,000 or something like that a month in CL, which is like still really good standards back then, you know. But
Yeah,
I never had anything bad. That whole scam stuff was that was all like Nathan uses and that. But like I remember when Na'Vi came, like obviously we just looked like when we just qualified, we didn't really want to stay in MNM, and obviously like Na'Vi were looking for a team at the time and just got lucky, like you know, like crossed paths, and then they picked us up and went from there.
I mean, you have pretty much immediate success. You do quite well in EU. You go to Tokoname. Now, don't really want to dive into a certain part of this story because I'm not really interested in it. But I mean, obviously, Dokie ends up getting banned. And we had Jack on the show. This is just I guess a shameless plug for ourselves. If you are curious about what happened with Dokie, there is an episode that we did with Dokie around the time of his ban, where we basically just talked to him very frankly about it, and he owns up to it. It's a pretty good episode. I mean, if people want to go back and rewatch it, you're welcome to. But obviously, Dokie gets banned. What does that do to the team? Because you guys looked like a well-oiled machine, and you would end up ultimately winning Tokoname even with Pi as your sub. But what was the mood like when Dokie ends up getting banned? Like, what are the reverberations there?
Couldn't believe it, to be honest. Like, it was literally out of nowhere. And like, he was good. Like, he's still a good friend now, and he's a good friend back then. So like, seeing him get banned, like, it was like hard to see as well. Like, he put in a lot of effort back then to like get where he was, and then obviously he gets thrown out the window because of stuff that he did. But yeah, like, we were desperate trying to get a player. Like, there was no one even that we could get that was like even like quote good, like who was like a pro league player already. So we had to like pick up, the name that we shall not say. But yeah, we picked him up and somehow did win Tokoname with him.
Well, I mean, you had a pretty easy grand final, right? So I mean, it was the people you were playing against were kind of chumps, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I think a lot of people call that like a Mickey Mouse major. So there was like a lot of like visa issues and stuff like that, right? Like, we don't want to gloss over those. So like, whoever won that event, congrats. But
to be fair, the one thing that I remember from that event that I still remember is BC. I don't think I ever told him, but I remember like, when we was going to shake hands, I remember like I was at the front and I shook everyone's hands, and BC was just like, he was just staring dead into the crowd, and I was like tapping him on the shoulder, like, "You gonna shake my hand?" And he was like so zoned out, and then I finally shook his hand and then went off. Yeah, I think that was like,
wow.
Yeah, like I think at that point I did think like it was going to be a good day because he didn't look all there, if that makes sense. Maybe a bit nervous or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Brandon was a shaker. Yeah,
was he really?
No.
I was gonna say I
he's
would
a
be
machine.
shocked
That
at
guy's
that.
a machine. No, that guy's a machine. I like to tell Matt all the time. Matt costed me. Matt and Nick's costed me for sure. They did not show up that game.
I don't want to talk about Nick's. We will.
Hey, gotta throw it. Nick's could have been a major champion, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Didn't he help win Charlotte? Yeah, I was gonna say he was an analyst, right?
He scouting. It's very hard for a coach to scout 9 maps every single day. You know what I mean? So you need to bring someone onto your staff that's knowledgeable to knock out some maps. Nowadays, we got like some of these Brazil teams that feel like they got like 8 scouts. They're all get like 1 map. That'd be fantastic. But yeah.
I mean, Citizen was just saying, like, Ben was like, "Oh, we're getting paid $1,000 for CL. That's like 3 times what Cloud9 makes." So it's like, you think they can even afford? You think they can even afford 1 analyst? Like, that's crazy work,
We're throwing that out. Huh?
That is crazy.
No,
that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Hey, needs to be talked about. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. For people who are unaware, basically Cloud9. Well, not technically Cloud9, the organization, but basically said that they were looking for, it was an analyst, right? To work for free. And basically said that the budget was too tight and got some pretty serious pushback. And like, look, like, I don't hate esport orgs. Like, there are orgs where I care about them less than others, but Cloud9, I feel like, has consistently treated our scene like a dumping ground where they failed to invest where I would invest if I were them. And granted, I'm not Cloud9. I don't know what their financials are. I don't know what their interest is. Cloud9 has openly said that when they had, I think it was the Korean team, that they said that they make more money, like percentage-wise, off of their Rainbow Six skins than they do in most other games. And they're paying, an APAC team pennies on the dollar. And these guys are literally still working at McDonald's, like part-time, because they can't afford to live off of the salary Cloud9 is getting them. But Cloud9's making so much money off of skins. Wouldn't that be nice to invest it back in your team? So, and I think it was, who was the guest that came on here that said that they were going to go to Cloud9, but they were offering a terrible amount of money? We had a guest, Semi, recently, who was talking about. Cloud9. Oh, I think it might have been Call Out
Maybe.
talking about Cloud9, was it?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say maybe when Dream was on a while ago, because
I know Dream talked about it for sure. Dream did not have nice things to say.
I
but-
did not have nice things to say either. Back when our unwanted time with them.
Look, man. Ben, do you want to in our daily shit on Cloud9 segment? Do you have anything that you want to add here? Don't.
It's just
We
crazy
got some
that they
other
do that, though.
orgs.
Yeah,
We
LG.
got
Remember LG? The LG tweet where they said they pay their players nothing, but they're keeping them on for skins and stuff like that. It doesn't make sense. Like that's like modern slavery, you know? Like you can't just do that.
Well, I think it, and this is take this with a grain of salt, but what I've heard about that C9 thing is they're not even getting that much money in skins, and I think they offered in their contracts that Dream was talking about. I think they offered that they will give skin money to help out with their low salaries if they reach but what they didn't say is if they reach a certain threshold, and their threshold is, I believe, a number that they haven't reached before. So it's like
wasn't it like 50,000 or something like that? It's like if they sell like 50,000,
I think it's something like that, and they've only made I think the last couple were like somewhere around 30. So it's like the players are never going to see any bit of that, and it's a shame. It's a shame because no one should have to play in Pro League for free.
Yeah.
Going up against guys that are making 8K plus.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like, I get that you're always going to have players that'll just take a low salary because they want to play in Pro League because they're hungry and they want to prove themselves. But like, it's just an awful situation. And I mean, it's just the way the ecosystem is right now, but it's a shame.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. Like they go on about skin money, but like if you get people in that aren't getting paid money, like why should I even bother like shouting out your skin? You know, say if you get someone in that's like 20K followers, you know, do a bit of content creation, pump the skin, they can inflate numbers. But like, they're not going to do that. Like if you're getting paid nothing, you know, like just don't get anything.
I also think that the reputation you as an org have impacts your skin sales. Like to be completely honest with you, like I think Mirage has made some really nice skins. I'm not buying them because I don't want to give that org money. You know, same with Cloud9. Like Cloud9 was one of my favorite orgs growing up. Like when I watched Esports, I thought Cloud9 was amazing. You know, like I watched that FaZe Cloud9 matchup in CS:GO, and it was like I love Cloud9. Like amazing jerseys, really clever logo. Like Jack seemed really cool on Twitter. I was a C9 fan. Like I still remember when they first came into Rainbow Six Siege and they sent me like a care package. I was like over the moon as a fan. But now I'm like, I'd like just pay your fucking players properly. You know, like I don't want these big orgs to come in and abuse the goodwill of our community and the reputation that certain players and our game has to benefit off of if they're not investing in our esport as well. And I remember, I guess I'll spill a little bit of tea here. I remember Ghost Gaming reached out to me at one point during the first wave of R6 share. And they were like, we really want to pick up a big team and like, we really want to make a splash and we really want to invest in Rainbow Six. And I was like, okay. And I helped them find a bunch of teams and I was very honest with them. And then they're like, oh, which one do you think gives us the best bet of getting a skin in the game? And I was like, well, the skins have just been like announced. So you're probably going to be waiting like, I think at the time it was like once a year, if memory serves correctly. And I was like, well, you're probably going to be waiting a year. And I just remember the guy from Ghost at the time, who's no longer with them, got back to me and he's like, well, why did Mouse get a skin and we didn't? And I'm like, you don't even have a team yet. What do you mean, why did Mouse get a skin and you didn't? You like Mouse has a team. They're a legacy org. Like, you don't have a team yet. Why would you get a skin? And he's like, well, I just look at all these orgs that are in there that are smaller than us and they don't provide content with us. And I'm like, brother, you don't even have a team. Like, you have not even picked anybody up yet. Like, I'm like, how, like, and then they're like, well, you know, we only want to invest if it's worth our time. And I was like, you told me a month ago you wanted to invest in our esport and be seen as like this like founder of the next step of Rainbow Six Siege, and you won't even pick up a fucking team unless you get skins? Like, fuck off. Like, I have no patience for that kind of stuff. And now it's like, I hear about these orgs where it's like, well, you know, we'll pay you $500 a month, and if we sell like a X amount of skins, and you're like, wow, that sounds great. And then you look at it, it's like they've never hit that. It's like, you know, 100% of zero is still zero, right? Like, you're not getting anywhere. So
that's the thing, though. I think with Ubisoft as well, the only popular esports, they don't have like an ecosystem. You know, like you look at like Valorant, they have like set like you need to have like a minimum standard, and I think that's why like these teams abuse like this system, you know, they can just get away with it and nothing happens. Like,
yeah, it is a shame because I had originally read that the first wave of contracts required teams to like spend a set amount, right? Like there was a floor that you had to offer.
Yep.
And it's like, if you didn't pay a certain amount, if your payments were late, like they could revoke your skins and stuff like that, which is why I was so confused with the Mirage situation, because it was like, they are not paying their players. You have former players on Mirage who are threatening legal action against the organization to get the money they are owed. And Mirage's skin is still in the game and they are still making money off of it. I can understand allowing that if you're like, you know what, we're going to seize that money and we're just going to give it straight to the players because you're not paying them. I could see that, but as far as I'm aware, that's not what was happening. So I was like, why? Like the moment that you go like 3 months without getting paid and you're in arrears, you fucking rip their skin away and you say you've lost your privileges until you pay them.
Yeah.
This is not, to me, this is not a difficult thing. But it's like, I do wonder if maybe Ubisoft, and I hope I'm not reading this incorrectly, I wonder if Ubisoft is maybe a little reluctant to do that because, as you can see, like with 1 of 30, we've had an orgless team in North America now for over a year, right? So if they start playing hardball with some of these orgs, is it a worse look to have 4 of 10 teams be orgless, or have 3 of those 4 teams have orgs but just be paid really poorly? Like what's better here, right? So I get it, it's a hard balancing act, but I as an independent contractor don't have nice things to say about those orgs, and we get to talk about it from time to time. But you've been with some pretty big orgs, and from what I've seen, you've always had a relatively good go of it with those orgs. I mean, G2, M80, Dark Zero, like you've been with top tier teams. Let's talk a little bit more about Na'Vi. What was it like being on Na'Vi? What was the org like?
I think being on Na'Vi, that was when like fully realized like, yeah, I've actually like made it now as like a player, you know, get picked up by an org, because I'm like quite a big CS fan as well, and obviously watching them and then playing for them and then like going to like Ukraine boot camps, seeing all of their trophies, stuff like that. Like it's all like a surreal like experience for when you're like a new player, you know. And the org itself as well, it's good org. Like other than when I left the team, it was fun, but I won't go too much into that. There's a lot of like shitstorm, you know, again. But yeah, like being in the team, like when we went to boot camps, they made dinners for us. They gave us daily salary to like go out and get dinner and stuff like that. I think it's like 50 euros for each player as well. Like so like you get 50 euros on top of obviously your paycheck. You can spend it. If you don't, you still get it. Like doesn't matter. And yeah, like good team manager, like always pushed us to like be better. The facilities were crazy. Like just everything was just amazing in that team, to be honest.
What were the vibes like at Tokoname? Did you go into the event with, you know, a sub? We don't need to talk about the person, but if the actual team itself, did you have that whole event? I mean, you're right, Kyle. Like the whole event was kind of fucked, right? Like obviously with like both FaZe and Nip blowing up their visa process, obviously Na'Vi playing with a sub, you know, like what were your expectations, Ben, going into that event? Did you think that even with, you know, Pi on the roster, you had a shot of winning it, or did you go in being like, whatever happens, happens?
I still think we had a shot because I think we was 5th place or 4th place with Dokie, and then obviously like the stuff got banned, and then we came from 4th and we came second. Oh, we actually came 1st in that season, you know, and that's when I thought like, yeah, like we have a really good chance of making it. It wasn't like even pressure on us either. Like we just went in there and just played and somehow won. Yeah.
Somehow won, Kyle.
What?
Well, with a sub.
I love how we're still
With
on
Voldemort.
Tokoname. we talked about Tokoname, then we talked about something else, and then Parker's like, oh, so tell me about Tokoname again. How was it?
Just driving the knife in even
was
deeper.
That, Ben? How dare you take us to Consulate? How did we lose Consulate? I want to know, because I've talked about it. We have Japan, a new event coming up. What do you think of Tokoname and the area, the event? Because I rave about it still to this day, and we lost. So what was your experience?
Not just because we won it, but I still think that was probably the best event I've been to. Maybe like just being in Japan as well is a surreal thing as well. But like, I don't know, like the fans, the stage, everything was just like the best. Maybe I would say like maybe 2020 invite and 2024 the Sao Paulo, they're like joint. But I still think like just Tokoname, just being in Japan and all that stuff, I still think that's like just the best experience I've had.
Yeah,
like, even like just waiting outside and you put your jersey on and there's like 100 people just run over to you taking pictures. Like in that moment, like you just feel like the top dog, you know.
especially for I mean, one of your first events, right? You get to go to Tokonami and like we were treated like superstars, like rock stars there.
Yeah.
Literally, like we were swarmed all the time from fans, which was an amazing experience back in what 2019 was that 2020 2019
2019.
Like, that was I was like, oh my god, do we finally make it? Like, is this what like other events are going to be like at this time? But no, it was. I'm glad to hear that you had like a similar experience because we were reminiscing on a recent podcast and like it was kind of like in an airport town, I believe. Like the town
Yeah.
we
Like
were
an
in wasn't
island.
anything crazy,
Yeah.
but it was an island, which is cool. We were on the water. The hotel was really nice. Again, the fans were nice. One thing I also think was super cool is like even the walkouts. I'll typically watch that game back. I don't know why I put myself through the suffering, but I watched the game back and like even just like walking out from the crowd, how like
Yeah.
badass that was to like the hype music walking on stage. I thought that was super cool. I mean, obviously, even like Salt Lake, I thought it was like the themed with the torch and the Ford Ram. Thought that was really cool. But what? You didn't think it did it? That I forget who was it? Ian kind of hyping everybody up while they were walking out with that.
What is Salt Lake?
Yeah, at Salt Lake.
Yeah.
It was literally
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was literally like a
I thought
Dodge Ram commercial.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Salt Lake City was really cool. Obviously, you know, we've addressed it a couple times now on the show, and we did see some people in the comments. Which, by the way, if you were one of those people who left a comment, we weren't trying to like besmirch the good name of the crowd. Because it was in like a cavernous hall and the layout, it didn't feel as loud. Like obviously, if you're in like a condensed area, the sound is going to travel very differently. But we're in a literally enormous convention hall that's not like there weren't even like it wasn't even like the Paris Major where it was all kind of like roped off with like those black curtains to kind of keep the sound in. It's just like you'd cheer and it would just immediately evaporate, right? So
yep.
I the farther I get away from Salt Lake City, even though it's only been a couple weeks, the more I do look back on it quite favorably. But I'm with you guys. Like, you know, we're Westerners. Like, we don't really have anything that kind of reminds us of Japan. It almost feels like a different world, right? Like when I go to the UK, when I go to like Italy, when I go to like Sweden, like they feel they feel different from Canada and America, but like they're not like that different. It's not like I step onto the surface of an alien planet. But it's like when I got to Japan and it's like you see their transportation, you see their architecture, you just like you hear how quiet it is. You're like, this literally feels like I've stepped onto a different planet. And it's good. Like it's nice. Like don't get me wrong, like I would not move to Japan, but like I would love to go back. So I think everybody is kind of, you know, chomping at the bit to go to Osaka. And I mean, Osaka is ostensibly a cooler city than Tokonami, even though Tokonami is close to Nagoya, which I don't know if you guys went out to. That's where we went. We just hopped on the train for like an hour or whatever. We went to Nagoya and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, Tokonami was kind of just like an industrial town built around an airport. But I look back really fondly on that one for a number of reasons. And, you know, I never let who wins an event like color my judgment, but I thought it was unbelievable. It's like probably it's got to be a top 5 event for me. And most of the other events are like 6 invitationals. So the fact that it's in that company is a really good sign.
Yeah, you know the best thing. Don't know if Mint remembers is you get your own rooms. That's the best thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Yeah.
my god,
Yeah.
going into an event and sharing, like I don't mind it, but like when you get your own room, it's literally wow.
No, and every toilet has a bidet, which
Yep.
which was great. And
my
it's like the toilet seat is heated. Like
Yeah.
that's just they're so far in advance.
7-Eleven downstairs, 1 minute walk away. Wow, that
Yeah.
place is unreal.
7-Eleven.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
That place got ransacked after the after party. We had like a second after party in like the little like parking lot area in front of it after the little after party we had. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I just remember Flynn going in drunk off his ass and buying a sandwich and then just demolishing it in like 2 bites outside of the 7-Eleven. I think it was the egg salad, yeah.
Oh, you got to get the egg salad from 7-Eleven. Yeah, something about that bread. Jeez.
See, 7-Eleven, and I don't know what your reputation or their reputation is like in the UK, but like in North America, 7-Eleven is like you're drunk and you just have no other options. It's not like glamorous. It's like you go there and you're like, this is where my life may end. But in Japan, it's like this is delicacy.
Yeah. One random homeless man outside.
Yeah.
I don't even have 7-Elevens in England. Like we just have Boots. I think
Yeah.
Boots would be the closest thing.
Boots.
Or Tesco.
Assuming-
Tesco.
I was going to
Tesco
say,
actually
doesn't
is
Tesco have little like
Tesco.
express, like little?
We'd have the meal
We have-
deals. Tesco
In
meal
Poland, we
deals.
had Żabka, which was just kind of like, it means like tree frog or something in Polish, and it was just like a little like cute convenience store. But I'm like, they're all the same. Canada has Max or Couche-Tard as it's called, which I think has now been, they bought Circle K and now it's called Circle. I don't know. But okay, you end up winning. It's a cool event. But then what ends up, you said you didn't really want to talk about it too much, so we don't need to dwell on it all that much. But then obviously things with Na'Vi don't go the best, and very quickly after that championship, you get moved to the bench. What was there turmoil? Was it roster moves? Like what happened there with the team? If you want to discuss it, I don't need to. Again, we're not here to farm gossip.
The bench thing was just a placeholder because I already left. Like they just, I don't know why they even done that, you know. But I was already gone by that point.
I was gonna
Was
say,
it a
weren't you approached by G2?
Yeah.
Yeah, they approached me first, yeah.
I said, yeah, not to confirm it. I said, yeah, to be like, that's what I was going to ask. Like, how did I had heard that like G2 came knocking?
Yeah.
You were with
Yeah,
G2
virtually,
for
yeah.
you were with G2 for a while. You're with G2 for 3 years. Obviously huge organization. Did you know that it was coming? Like, what was the lead up to you getting picked up by G2?
I don't know if I can go too much into it, but I just remember after 2020 invite, like obviously there was changes being said, and they just messaged after that basically saying that they would like to get me. Like, I didn't even require like a trial or anything either. They just went straight for me. Same with the Virtue.
And
Damn.
was that like a no-brainer for you? Just because, like you said before, like
Yeah.
you're about to team with Penghu and Kanto and like legends of the game, even at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to literally like be at work and I'd watch like I'd be on my phone and watch an invite while working. You know, like that's how it was back then for me. And then obviously teaming with them, getting offered to G2, like it was just a no-brainer. Like, of course, I'm going to say that.
Okay, so G2 obviously has a reputation from the outside of being like the assholes and the villains of most sports, right? Like that's G2's thing. It was obviously when Carlos was in charge, it was almost like a cult of personality. Like G2 was Carlos. Now obviously,
yeah,
Carlos has become Carlos, and obviously is on his he's on his own journey right now. And the org was quite quick to cut ties with him on a number of levels after a particular video at, I think it was a club, came out, and ultimately G2 had to make some changes. And I think people kind of memory hold that whole thing with G2, like how quickly we kind of moved on from that. Like Carlos was at like a club partying with Andrew Tate, and then there was like honestly one of the biggest firestorms I've seen about an esports org probably ever on Twitter. Rumor was that it cost them a spot in VCT because of it, and it had reverberations in other esports. But what was it like being on that team with Carlos? Because I've heard a lot of Carlos stories. I used to cast with Penghu, so I've heard no shortage of Carlos stories. What were your experiences like on that team, either from a team perspective or from an org perspective, if you want to share them?
I mean, I never had a problem with Carlos. I think he was a great guy when I was there. Like, he helped me out a lot, like trying to get me like motivated, all that stuff. Helped out with the team a lot. He was always involved, like saying if about roster changes, stuff like that. Like, yeah, I mean, with the Penghu stuff, obviously, I do know that stuff he has a different experience. But yeah, for me, I had no issues. He's a great guy to me.
What was it? Did it feel like Carlos the org? Like, did you ever interact with other people, or did it just feel like everything ran through him?
Yeah, everything ran through him at some point, and then when Julius came, that was when it was more. It came from other people, you know. That's when they started branching out. For me, anyway.
Did you notice a difference? Like, as a player, did you notice a difference in the org when leadership changes happened?
No, for me, I mean, Carlos was more a jokey guy. Like, he wasn't too serious. So like, you could have joke around with it. I think afterwards they got a little bit more serious, but not too serious. Like, Julius is still like a great guy as well. He didn't do me wrong either. I still had fun when he was there, and I think he's still there now doing work for G2 at like one of the top positions.
I'm just curious about the inner workings of some of these orgs, and I honestly think this is great information for our viewers, because people see like G2 from the outside, but very rarely do they actually get to hear what it's like being in G2. how tough are the expectations if they have them for you? Because I mean, like, this is an org that's used to winning. They are used to being among the best of every esport they go into, and they only tend to pick up teams if they think they have a shot at the top. Did you ever feel that pressure? Do you think that's an accurate way of looking at G2?
In that time, no, I'd say no for me. But I think when Alamo and Dokie started joining, I think that's when like more pressure started mounting on about like you need to hold yourself higher in G2, you know?
That makes sense. Kyle, have you ever had, I mean, you worked with DZ for a long, long time. I was going to say, like, what are your experiences with expectations from orgs? Are they often realistic, or do you think they are unmoored from reality?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, esports is a business, and some orgs are investing a good amount of money for you to win, or at least to put in the effort to win. And if you're not held to that standard, they're gonna wonder what they should be doing with their money. So, like, obviously, I did not have a pleasant time in DZ, and I talked about that, about feeling external pressures from the organization, and like not even that. The bigger orgs you're on usually have more fans, so then you get a lot more. If you guys are playing like shit, then you're definitely going to hear about it. And that definitely adds to staying off social media and different things that like Callouts team was talking about, like the new DZ, right, where they're kind of unplugged from everything, which is really nice. But yeah, I mean, it could be unfair at times, but like that's just how it is. I look at sports, and I do this. I do the same thing as a sports fan. I'm an Eagles fan, and I'll see the players, especially last year, where we were doing so good, and then AJ Brown, the word on the street was he was super toxic, wide receiver, diva receiver, and we start to feed into the narratives of like get this guy off the team and different things like that when we really have no idea. So I mean, I feel like esports is kind of the same thing, and I say it all the time too. We're kind of in the hate watch era, but yeah, people, it's like you also don't have a long career in sports in general and esports, so it's like if you're not doing good, it's a quick fix. Get them off the team, get somebody new, right? Look at M80.
Yeah,
we'll get to there in a second, but I really want to keep talking about this G2 because the G2 team was like the team you were on the longest, I believe, technically, from my timeline, if I remember correctly, because Sonics was like basically a year, M80's half a year, basically, DZ was like half a year. So G2 was like your longest team, and there's multiple stages of that. Like you said, you joined with Penghu and Kanto, and then near the end with the Alamo and with the Dokie. I kind of want to just hear from you, like how G2 was from the beginning to the end, kind of give you the floor to speak on G2 situation just in general, how it was when you first joined to how it was when you left.
Yeah. Well, I think to start off, I think COVID actually ruined that team.
Okay.
I think if COVID wasn't a thing there, well, we definitely would have won an event or something at least. I even said it to Penghu, and he said it to me before. Like that was the most confident I've been in a team. Like surrounded by those people. Like I knew we had something there. Was beating a lot of people, and then it just stuff happened. Like we finished second at the online major thing, and then won the whatever it's called finals. I think we would have had a good run at the international events as well. But like
I think that was the European League 2020 finals, right?
Yeah. Because what happened is we all moved out to Germany, and COVID just happened, and I'm stuck in Germany. Can't speak to my family. I've never moved out. I was 20. I think I was 21 at the time. Never moved out before. Couldn't speak to family like properly, like see them. Obviously, I was living in a shared apartment. Like all the streets were locked off. There was curfews. Like it's just terrible. Like Berlin as a whole as a city is really nice, but back then in the COVID, it was just like if COVID didn't exist, it'd have been fine. Like nothing would have happened. But I do think that really like hurt the team a lot.
It is really such a wild time. I know that it's been a while now, and I mean, people who watch this, I honestly don't know what the average age of our viewer is, but there might be people watching this who were quite young, when COVID was going on. Like, the pandemic started over 6 years ago at this point. I remember I was home for SI actually. And I was just like, when I would go home, I'd just like stay in my old like high school bedroom in my parents' house because I lived in Poland. And I just remember being in a grocery store with my dad. My flight back to Poland is in 72 hours. And I just remember getting a text being like Trump is shutting down every airport. in like 48 hours or something like that. And I was like, well, my life's about to get very interesting. So it's a crazy time, and it's like I've said this many times on the show before, but I think COVID disproportionately fucked our esport. Like, we were about to get off the ground. Like, we'd moved out of Poland. We were going to have all these LAN leagues. We were going to have this huge explosion of viewership. We had like physical studios booked, and then everything stops for 2 straight years.
Yep.
And I would have been really eager to see what would have happened if we'd had all these LAN leagues, if we actually had a studio in Vegas with an audience as it was originally planned. Like, if the Japanese Super League had actually happened over in Tokyo with all of the regions coming together, like I think it would have made such a huge difference. And I mean, that's of course ignoring like player growth and team growth and everything that comes with it. Because I mean, Ben, you've teamed with a lot of people. I'm sure like you are very keenly aware of how important it is to like get to know your teammates, and it's harder to do that obviously if you're in the midst of a pandemic. You're locked down. People are stressed. I had a lot of problems with it, like, so it's just like it sucks, man. It's brutal, but I mean, still 3 years with G2 is a long time. Did the org end up living up to what you had, you know, because you love Na'Vi obviously, but then you get in G2, you said was kind of the start of where you're like, oh my god, I've made it. Did the org live up to what you had in your mind as the expectation for them?
Other than my salary wasn't really good at the time, I kind of messed up with that. But other than that, yeah, I'd say like as an org, like they do everything that you expect an org to do, you know,
Yeah.
with all the boot camps and all that stuff. Don't give the salary like to pay like for your food daily, but you know, their facilities were crazy in the middle of Berlin as well. They had all the like restaurants nearby. You could get deliveries, all that stuff. Like, yeah, it was good there. I enjoyed my time at G2, and especially the boot camps as well.
Kyle, were you at the Berlin Major?
Thankfully, I was not.
What do you mean,
I heard it was very
thankfully?
hot. I heard it was very hot.
It was very hot.
We had forests and everyone with tarps off.
Yeah, it was in the
Skirts around the
middle
head.
of a heat wave, and the studio that they had us in, like the arena or whatever, the air conditioning literally broke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
And
casino.
yeah, it was brutal. And then
Were you guys playing in like a tent too? Or was
No,
that a different event?
That's a different event.
Different
Yeah,
event,
we played on floors. I remember, like there was like
Yeah.
a big middle bit, and then each game was played on a separate like floor. There's a staircase, walk
Yeah.
up, and then in the corner there's the teams.
Mm.
Yeah. Berlin was the event where I didn't work the full thing because my best friend's mother had passed away a couple years prior during COVID. But if people recall, like when you died during COVID, you had a long wait for like a funeral because, you know, lots of people were dying. So I had to fly home. So I didn't actually get to see any of the live portion, which is apparently when it was like really quite miserable. So, I mean, I missed that, but I think Berlin's an awesome city. Like, I mean, the nightlife is good. Like the food scene was pretty good. Like the art scene is incredible. Like I don't really have many bad things to say about Berlin. And I feel like when I talk to a lot of like European players, they're like, oh, Western Germany's way better. But you got to go to Western Germany. Eastern Germany sucks. Berlin is so boring, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't know. I thought it was cool, but I didn't have to live there. So I guess that's a difference as well, right? The one big thing I remember the most about the Berlin Major, and I don't know, Ben, if you were in the lobby when this happened. It's like 1 a.m. and it was an off day, so everybody was in the hotel bar drinking. And this guy in a full leather suit, like literally like the only part of it that was open was his mouth, like full head to toe leather, gets led in by this dominatrix on a leash. And I just remember like looking around and seeing all these esports people just like,
I remember Dokie telling me that story. Actually, he was there.
Yeah, I thought it was so fucking funny because I was like, whatever. Like, you know, obviously there's a big like fetish community in Germany. This shouldn't surprise anybody. Like, I guess seeing it in person is quite jarring for people. But I was sitting there just like kind of giggling to myself because it's like this lady like dominatrix and like heels that are like this big, just like walking with this guy on a leash, like taking him up to our hotel room. And I was like, hell yeah, brother, you get that. You get that, man. But just seeing all the esports players be like, it was very, very good. I guess now's not a bad time to talk about this. Because one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on here so badly and tell your story, and you and I talked about this in DMs a little bit, is that rightly or wrongly, you were often the target of criticism from a huge portion of the community. And there seems to be, I think it's fair to say, there seems to be former players and coaches of yours who maybe help feed into this narrative that you're either a toxic teammate or you're a troublesome teammate, etc. And the community latches onto that. And I mean, it's impossible to talk about you on the subreddit, for example, without there being like just a wave of people just effectively shitting on you. And I want to give you the opportunity to defend yourself, because you know, like when we were doing the preamble to this episode, which you, the viewer, don't ever end up seeing or hearing, you know, you don't really tweet much. You don't really do a lot of media. Like, it's not like you're out there, like, you know, if somebody shit talks Alamo, like he's streaming, he'll just address it head on, right? You know, like even Troy's addressed the toxicity head on. Spoit has addressed the toxicity head on. You just kind of keep your head down and do your thing. You don't, you know, you don't dive into threads and attack random people to like defend yourself, which I think is kind of admirable, frankly. So I figure it's a good opportunity to just ask you, like, why do you think it is that so many either former teammates, former coaches, or members of the community, rightly or wrongly, point fingers at you and be like, you know, Citizen's the problem? Why do you think that is? And what do you have to say to them?
Just what you see on the outside is not what you see on the inside. I guess, like, I think, because I've been on quite a lot of teams, I've seen some crazy stuff. Like, I've seen coaches hit people on the back of the head, like at events. I've seen, you know, like people, like, I've seen players call coaches retards, don't know nothing about the game. Obviously, I don't say anything like this, and then I'm the one getting, you know, I do feel like I'm a scapegoat for some people, like an easy target, you know, like, and they don't, for some reason, like, even when it's like other people that have beef with each other, for example, and then I'm the one still getting pointed out when I don't even have beef with them, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and with the old tweet stuff, like, if it's true, like, I own up, like, obviously I did have, like, I definitely had moments where not like I was calling people like shit or whatever, like I wasn't going up to him saying like, you're terrible, you're this, like I would just mostly get onto him about, like, especially in G2 time, it's just like being lazy. Like when I'm at like the top, maybe I was getting fed up, I don't know, like it was like a boiling point, but when I was playing that well and I'm looking around and like people just aren't putting in the same effort, and you know, I'm telling them like they should do this or something, like put more effort in, and they're not doing it, you know, kind of balls over, I might like just tell them off, or they just troll scrims or whatever, you know. I was against that a lot back then, but yeah, I wouldn't say, like, again, I'm going to my teammates and calling them terrible or anything like that. I don't know if it's like a misconception that people see it and they want to believe, but like, it's just not true, you know. Like, you can ask anyone. I don't talk behind anyone's back. I don't say any, spread any rumors. I don't dive into the subreddits. Even when Yardi's making videos about me, like, and I know it's not true, you know, like, why do I have to respond to that? Like, I don't care. Like, I'm giving someone more like stuff to feed off. Like, it doesn't bother me, you know.
I think it's admirable that you don't wade into that, but I mean, you have a large platform. You know, you are a big figure in this game. You've been playing pro for almost 10 years at this point. I think you're at 8.5 or closing in on 9 years. I mean, and you've got like status, you know, like people know Citizen, like they know your name. Like, you know, when you join a team, people like their heads turn and like are like, oh, it's like Citizen's on this squad. Like when you join Secret, people are like, wow. Like now when you're on Fnatic, people are saying like, wow. Like, I don't know. I mean, Kyle, I guess you might have a better vantage point as a former player and as a coach as to how like interpersonal stuff settles on a team. But like, I brought this up on the podcast, and I want to take some accountability here. I remember very distinctly, and we can obviously quarrel over what was said because I don't remember the exact words of what was said, but I do remember sitting in the green room at the Mexico City Major. You guys lost a map. I can't remember what map it was. And it was when Kanto was still on the team. I think Kayak was on the team, and Shaz was still your coach. And I just remember you were very upset about the results of the match. Now, when I talked about it on the podcast, I characterized it as you like personally attacking your teammates. That could be completely wrong. Again, my memory's not the best. The purpose for why I told that story was like you were very mad about that map, which again is not unusual. I have seen players crash out. Fuck, we do content when Fabian crashes out. They make videos about it because it's entertaining. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with being angry and heated after a contentious match. And as you pointed out, like at that point in time, if you've been with the team for a year or two and this shit keeps happening, like slowly but surely, very small things end up, you know, eliciting a very strong response. I saw like the passion you had, which can cut both ways, right? Like as a teammate, there are some docile teammates who are going to immediately kind of, freeze up when somebody gets mad. And there are other players who are going to be motivated by that. So I think it speaks to your, how do I say this? It's your expectation of how your teammates should be playing is what I see. And, I do have to ask you this question. You typically do well from a stat perspective, but the one criticism a lot of people have is that you rack up those stats in a role where you are seen as a baiter. That to me doesn't seem like the way you play. So again, the floor is yours. Do you want to talk to the average community, whether it be Redditors, whether it be Yardy, whether it be Twitter users, about your particular role and, the allegations of you being a baiter? Do you want to put those to rest?
Yeah, like I think the beta thing is just thrown around too much in this community anyway. Like, well, what defines a beta? Like I'm not sitting in a corner, sitting on the roof, waiting for the timer to go out and then get one kill. Like, if I get 1-2 kills on like part of the map and then team dies elsewhere, like that's not my fault. Like, even like Spoit, for example, he gets called a beta and he's literally like supposable entry. Like I just feel like that word is just thrown around too much without no definition. Like if you're on a lurk role, or like I'd say, like even like Cryan when they won the Berlin Major, even he was called like a beta. But even that sometimes like he would get like 2-3 kills and his team just dies. Like happens, like they might do a power and just wipe your team out and you're left in a 1v2 or whatever. Like nothing you can do about that.
Laxing also got a lot of criticism for the same thing, for the record. Like Laxing would often play on a role where he'd be disconnected from like the overall defense or execute, largely playing on his own. And he received a lot of criticism for being a quote unquote baiter as well. It's probably just the role, if that's the case, and like a lack of understanding about how that role functions, especially since like when you popularized lurking and with some of those other players, lurking wasn't really a big thing like 5-6 years ago the way it is now. Like I remember when Blue started casting, he referred to roamers as lurkers and he got raked through the coals by the community, where it's like, there aren't lurkers in Rainbow Six. That's not a real thing. They roam, like blah, blah, blah. And now it's, if you say lurker, people just nod and they're like, yeah, we know that. I think it's just like a misunderstanding that the community has about team roles and the way a certain team will play.
I mean, it also comes down, like Siege is in itself a different game to others. Like you have C4s, for example. Like you can win a round just being in the basement, C4 on the floor. That's it, round's done, Like, or even the flank watch as well, because in G2, like I was also kind of the flank watch. I'll take like an area of the map, make sure that they can't get flanked on the staircases, get C4'd, stuff like that, and then obviously walk up a staircase afterwards. Like Theme Park was, I think, the best. I can get the best visualization of that map doing that, like jumping in drug, holding 2 staircases, holding the C4, going up a staircase, killing another guy, And if your team dies while doing an execute and your job is to hold the guy downstairs so you don't get C4'd, then, like, what can you do? You can run up a staircase.
Then people are like, why are you down there? Why are you down there? Why are you not helping your team?
Exactly. Like, oh, what's going on? Like, oh, I'm holding the flanks. If there's a guy pressuring the flank, shooting a cam, I've got to watch this. Like, if he runs up a staircase and they kills 2, like, my fault now. Like, regardless, like, yeah.
I remember, and Kyle, you might remember this. I remember when Thinking Nade got some flack for that, because Thinking Nade would like be on flank watcher, would be far away, and he would have a very specific job where he needs to hold one person. The rest of the team, the 4 of them, will go up against the other 4 people. It's basically a 4v4 at that point. You're doing your job. All 4 of them lose their 1v1s. It's now a 1v, maybe they get 1 or 2 kills. And then people are like, why is Thinking Nade so far away? And I know that as casters have a lot of power there, and I know that we shoulder some of that blame, because there definitely been times, Ben, where you've been off in like Narnia, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing right now? And we've said that on the cast, where it's like, I think I've said like the exact words, like, I know he's a lurker, but like he's really far away from where everybody else was. Like, is this supposed to be the case? And we do try to at least give us some covering fire when we say like, we don't know. But I think everybody's made some pretty big strides to improve, because you do ultimately get criticism from the things we say. Like there are lots of times where if you do something that is totally normal and we're like, wow, this guy's an idiot. Obviously not in those exact words on the broadcast. There are a lot of people who are watching who are just going to parrot what we say. And it ends up like reflecting poorly on you. And it ends up with our lack of knowledge And our confidence in our lack of knowledge ultimately gets you in a spotlight that you don't deserve when you're actually doing things totally normal and totally fine. And now we've made you look like an idiot when in reality we're the idiots.
It's the same
You
with
can
any
say
sport,
that.
really. So
You
sometimes I
can
look
call
at
us idiots.
CS.
It's fine, by the way.
No, of course not. But sometimes I look in CS like Twitter posts and I'll see like some random guy saying, "Oh, Carrigan's terrible, this, that," and then I'm thinking, kind of agree. But then it's like I'm only taking that from his opinion and not actually like if I sat there and watched the game, I'd think differently. You know, it's kind of like the same like sports. I don't know if you follow football, but there's a whole Mbappe thing going on, and like football.
I have
Sorry,
not seen that.
yeah, he's getting called a dictator. Basically, like he's getting hounded. He's the best player in the team. He scores, I think he's like 45 goals or something, and he's just getting hounded because the team he left has won like 2, I'd say worlds, but like they're the Europe worlds, you know, and they've
Yeah.
won 2 trophies, and he's getting hounded. And it's just, I think it's just the same. Like people just looking at the hate watch and the comments and just agreeing with it blindly, not actually giving like it thought, you know.
Mr. Hate Watcher, do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, I'm just taking it all in. Just really trying to think about this because I agree with it 100% with what you're saying. With like, one, like the community doesn't know what roles are, and even nowadays, like roles are a kind of a myth for certain teams, right? There's multiple ways to play the game, which is the coolest thing about Siege. We can all agree to disagree about how to play the game. And you know, I didn't think DZ would win, and there they are, right? They fucking outshined everybody and won. I think the community. One, I agree also with the baiter thing in the sense of like everyone calls each other baiters. Literally, everyone calls everyone baiters nowadays, and I feel like it's just like a question mark kind of thing. Like you're just trying to see who it affects. And there are certain players that I know it does affect. I used to think it really affected NJR because there was a time where Nick does his job better than anybody. Anyone can say that, the mayor, right? But he hates like doing certain things, like sitting upside down on that cafe white window, which is vintage NJR. But he gets called a baiter so much there that I remember an off season where he's like, "I don't want to sit on this window anymore. I want to go in. I want to take Grim and swing in the window. Why can't I do that?" And it's like, Nick, you're doing so good, just sitting upside down, preventing him from walking up like this. Someone has to do it. And he's like, "I don't want to do it." So I do think there are players that maybe it kind of gets to. I do think Lax was a baiter. I love Lax. Just going back to that. Hey, I'm just being honest. I do think he was a baiter. That role back then was literally flank watch, like you're saying. It's outdated. No one does that anymore, right? It's a completely different role. It's cuts / lurking, right? We get a little bit more active with it. Back then, yes, you used to sit on a window. I loved that role. Dang, in Tokoname, I was flank watch, so I was getting my stats. I was just. I think we had Nomad back then, maybe? I don't know. It was
I was going to say Nomad was like the op. Nomad was the op, yeah.
Freebies. ARX with the ACOG, sit there and, literal freebies. You sit on cams that you like find and you just hide. And you're like, oh, here comes a flanker, freebie. But if nothing happens, you're just like, yo, where's Mint at? Where's Thinking Nate at? Where's Lax at? Like, we were all baiters back then. That's just how it was. Nowadays, though, it is a little bit different, right? Like, we are lurking and you are responsible for, like, yes, your team could die, but responsible for like hopefully doing something on that lurk or timing it correctly with your team. I think the community looks at like the last counter a lot, right? Oh, last alive again, last alive again, last alive again. And it's like, it's okay if it happens once or twice, but when it happens multiple times, you know, Paulu is an example of that. Diaz is another big example of that over in the Brazil region. It starts to be like, what's happening? But again, it all goes back to my original point where we all see the game a little bit differently. That might be okay to maybe they win more often than they lose because of that. And they're okay with Paulu being last alive because Paulu has the clutch factor. We all know that. He's going to win his 1vx's. Ben, you're one of those players as well that you're probably really comfortable in those 1vx's. Lax, he was very comfortable in those 1vx's. Usually those types of players, NJR, are pretty damn comfy and they're okay playing the 1vx's. And sometimes for those teams, it's okay. So, I mean, that's my take on the whole baiter thing. I mean, we do throw the word around a ton. It's probably the number one hate watch word that they're all baiters and no one's pushing. And probably my favorite thing to say too. I'm watching DZ like, oh, Kino's dead on a shield. Who's gonna push now, boys? Someone's got to get in that building. Who's going? Nick, you're on Ash, buddy. Get in there, you know. And I don't know. I feel like the community we love like fast teams nowadays. You know, we love those, like, even though Fury bombed out of the tournament, we love watching, like, herds run in the building in 0.2 seconds, or Noah's just shoving his face in a window and with the scorpion, right? Like that's kind of what the community kind of like wants to watch nowadays. And if you're not like a fast team like G2 or something, you're all a bunch of bait. I don't think the community would be ready for Empire to be back.
Yeah,
Old VP.
back then, Jesus, 20-second meta. But that's the thing
Yeah.
as well about the meta with the nades as well going below. Like, there's always going to be a guy below lurking, throwing nades through the floor. You know, like he's going to be alive
Mhm.
sometimes. I just don't think I
Yeah.
understood that back then.
No, for sure. Besides, like, I think the Bader thing was a great question. I don't know if you want to keep touching on that, Parker, but I want to go back to G2 for just a second and talk about like frustrations as a player, because that's where, again, I don't have the greatest history of you. We never teamed together. You were on DZ after me, but I also have like a story of like body language that like that's what I look for as a coach. And when I was a captain of my team, IGL, like I'm a big body language person, and I kind of want to know from like you as a player, going back to that G2 time. I want to know, were there like just big frustrations in that team? You were obviously a lot younger then. We're going back, what, 5-6 years at this point? Thank God it wasn't a 6-7 joke there. 5-6 years. And you guys had a lot of roster changes since you joined the team. I mean, the first one was Penghu, and I'm assuming he retired. Correct me here, because I'm old, I'm archaic, and I forget things now. I'm senile. Penghu retired during like COVID time, right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a big reason. Okay. A lot of players kind of stepped away during that time. No crowds, kind of sucked. But anyway, so he lost, maybe I'm guessing he lost a little passion. You guys added Kayak to the team. Then, not long after that, Kanto and Uno were benched because you guys were kind of middling as a team. You guys weren't winning, but you were kind of like 5th, 6th, somewhere around there. Kanto and Uno get benched. You bring on Jonka and Hungry. Then, a couple months later, Jonka's benched. Then Hungry's benched. Then Kayak's benched. Brand new team. You bring on Alamo, Prano, and Dokie. Then Prano gets benched, Blur joins. So it was a ton of roster changes within 2 years. So I want to know, like, is this just one of those pressure cooker situations? You guys were under a big organization. Did it feel like there was a lot of like frustrations building up in the team?
Not really frustrations. I'd say like with the second iteration, there was more frustration in them compared to the other ones. But in terms of the roster changes, like, I mean, with the Kanto and Uno thing, that was just purely Shaz, to be honest. Like, he was so angry after that invite, the Paris one, when we lost the Spirits on that. I forget what their team, that Kool-Aid thing.
Parabellum, baby,
Yeah.
or Altior, or whatever the hell they were playing under at the
Canadians.
time.
Yeah, that was a terrible time for me, especially like. But yeah, I remember Shaz was so angry after that, and I was even worried that I would get like, or me or Virtue would get kicked as well, Kayak as well. But yeah, he chose them too. I think there was like some like blood boiling between them for whatever reason. I don't know, maybe in the past or whatever. And as for the Penghu thing, yeah, he just lost passion again with the GT situation as well. He just didn't want to play, even though I think he could have still played and still done great, but yeah, he just didn't want to. And then obviously with the Cole Dokie and Prano, I mean, that team, for some reason, Cole Dokie just hated Prano the way he played Siege. I just hated it. I think like after like 2 weeks, there was just there was already like talks about it, you know, like they hated the way he played, and that's where like all the IGL and stuff, when Alamo said about me having to IGL and stuff like that, like just simply because they didn't want Prano to do it, you know.
Mm.
You're talking about when Carl was on our show? Alamo was on our show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you take any issue with any of the stuff he said?
No, because, well, he does slap a little bit, you know, with the saying that when I overtook the IGL, it was because we didn't make was it Yonkaping or whatever afterwards, but we literally qualified for Berlin Major on 4% as well, you know, which is crazy back then. But yeah, I think, yeah, like it was just like playing with Prano. Like, Prano was a nice guy, didn't do anything wrong. He was nice to us and whatever. He just didn't like the way he played, and then obviously he was just like a bystander at that point for the major. We still did good though, top 8 with that, you know. Can't go wrong with that.
I think that's what we got from Alamo, was like it seemed like maybe different theories about how to play the game. Is this kind of what you would say too with G2 at that time? Obviously he was coming from Brazil and some other teams, and you guys were starting to, you had Hungry on the team, and we know how he likes to play the game. Was there just like a lot of different theories, and you guys could never just kind of like come up with an identity?
Probably an identity, and like we picked up Kayak, who was doing really good on Kwana, just one CL, you know, he was doing really good, but then like just didn't have experience, and he joined our team, and Shaz was literally crazy, like on strats. He would just do the craziest things. Like when Thunderbird come out, he'd make like 10 strats with Thunderbird. It's like the most pointless op ever. Like we don't need 10 strats with Thunderbird, you know. And it's like there's stuff like that, and like especially with like the Yonka, Hungry, Kayak, like they couldn't handle Shaz back then as well. With like the way he wanted to play Siege, it was just so like crazy, I guess. And then kind of like made them play worse, I think. And then that's when after we got rid of, well, we benched him. Shaz left or got benched, and then we got Fabian, and yeah, and Prano came in. That's when Prano did come in. That's when we actually had an identity because he came from Rogue. I think they got top 4 major, whichever one it was before.
Yeah.
And he brought in like he was more like steps, like step 1, step 2, step 3. So at least we had that identity. I think that's why Alamo literally hated it because he wants to do like pure counter stuff. You know, when I played him at Mexico Major, he would when he was speaking to me about it when he dropped like 20 kills or whatever, he was literally saying that they would see like a gap and they would like create a strat around it, like bar. Went bar 3 times. That guy managed to walk in main door 3 times and we just couldn't kill him, like for whatever reason, you know. And that was purely probably because he just had a counter for it. And that's something that Prano couldn't like deliver for him.
Yeah. So for me, I just wanted to dig into the G2 a little bit more just to kind of see like what maybe some of the frustrations were inside the team. Because we're just kind of being open now. My only real interaction I think I had with you when I seen you at an event one time was in Charlotte. And during that event, I think you guys made the main stage and you were playing Liquid and you guys were getting kind of smoked by Liquid. And it was right at the end of the game because we're like getting ready to go on stage and play. I don't even know who we were playing at that time, but some bums because we won that event. But during that Liquid game, you guys are getting smoked. And it's like a 1v2, I think, for someone on your team. You just died. And I remember you taking your earbuds out, standing up and starting to pack up your stuff while your teammate was still trying to clutch that 1v2. And that, for me, never settled quite right. I would never want that to happen on my team, right? I would never, if I was a coach, I'd be extremely kind of pissed off. But I kind of wanted to like hear from you in a sense of like, if you kind of can remember like that far back, is just like, yeah, was there just like kind of beef in that team? Like after events when you guys would lose, where's that frustration kind of coming from? Because yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're kind of talking about with some of these other teams that you've been.
No, that was terrible from me. Like I definitely own up to stuff like that. I mean, at Charlotte event, I had like bad personal problems like going on with like a relative, so I wasn't going in the headspace. And I remember like even like after that map, I remember just sitting in my room like why have I done that? I was just so like I don't know, like there's so much stress on me about everything, you know. And obviously we didn't do too well, and I was not playing good, and everything just got to me, and I did that, which is like I say, terrible thing to do. Obviously, I did learn from that.
I was just gonna say there were a few times where it would be like your teammate would be like in a 1v2 and you'd type GG, and I was just like, every time I was like, you don't even have faith in your teammate. I was like, why are you? But it's like, again, like if you're going through stuff, like I can get that. And I mean, there have been days where like, look, there have been days where I'm casting and production has made quite a bit of mistakes, and you can very obviously tell that I'm not in it. And it's like sometimes like professionalism just kind of falls off. Like sometimes adversity gets to be too much. We are human. Like, at the end of the day, we will err, you know? And it's like, I think the important part is that you do take accountability, like not you in particular, people in general, right? Like, so that's why I said, like, I take accountability for the stuff that I've said about players in the past where it's come from a place of ignorance, but it still ultimately lands you, you know, in the crosshairs. And it's like, it's nice to hear that you do the same about some of your actions, right? Like competition brings like our passion and our heat up to the very surface. Like we are like, some people get really stressed and are really high strung when, you know, pressure gets to you. And I think some people handle it better, some people don't. But it's a situation where you are constantly trying to improve, right? For everybody. And I say that for myself because ultimately I can only take accountability for myself. So.
Yeah. And I hate to use the personal thing as an excuse, but like I think it's the only time I've ever really had personal problems, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, lesson learned. I did grow from that. I remember I had a meeting with G2 afterwards about it as well. It's not a good time. Like even in the room, I was with all the team and I had to explain my situation to them about what was happening. They were supportive still, even after what I did, you know, which is good to see from them. Because I'm not like, for me personally, I'm just not a person that likes to like put my problems on other people. Like, I'll just shoulder it myself, like whatever it is. I'm not gonna. I don't think it's worth me like telling my teammate, oh, like this happened, I don't feel well, or this type of stuff. I just kind of just bottle it or ignore it and just get on with it, and then hopefully it fixes itself afterwards. But now I'm a lot more open from that. Like I've kind of pushed away from that, and if I need to explain myself, like if I wake up bad and I'm not in a good mood, I'll tell them, like I didn't get enough sleep or whatever, and then they understand that.
What happened with G2 and you? Because I mean, I think this is like when we look at the story of CTZN, you getting moved off of G2 and then them winning a world championship so shortly thereafter is, for better or for worse, I think is a really important part of your story. What happened there? I feel like it's a good time to just walk us through why you ultimately got moved off of the team and why they made the changes they made, and frankly how that impacted you. Because I mean, I joked about the tweet, but like surely you must have been a little unhappy to see the team you just got moved off of go on to win SI. Like,
to be honest, I don't know if you're going to take it this way, but it didn't affect me as much because it's like a normal thing. Like I play football as well. It's the same thing. I look at football now. About the Mbappe situation, he left his team 1-2 worlds. Like it happens everywhere. It's a normal thing. Like change is good. That's what I said. And with G2, like they didn't get rid of me. I chose to leave. Like out of my own terms. That I had the decision to stay, like for invite or, do I look for another team? And then Sonics came and I thought like they're a good team. I will try my luck there. And yeah, I just left them with Sonics instead.
you were in the crowd in Montreal, right? You were physically there for SI, weren't you? Were you at home for SI 2023, the one that G2 won?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Yeah, you were physically there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just now you can say like you've seen it happen in other sports, but that was 3 years ago. What was your feeling at the time? Because again, that tweet is very funny. I will try to find it at some point. It's
got 6K likes. That's a good tweet.
Yeah, you popped off. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
of course, it's an incredible tweet. Kyle, I don't know if you can look it up and try to find it, but it is something that is worth sharing because I think it's funny. But I mean, like now, obviously, it's been many, many years, and you've seen this happen with other sports. But surely at the time, and I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but surely at the time there must have been some at least annoyance added happening, right? Like there's got to be at least a moment where you're like, that could have been me.
Yeah, of course. But I wouldn't say it was an annoyance, like, because they were still my friends at the time. Like, Dokie's still a friend now. Like, I was happy that he did it. And again, like I said, change is good. And I thought change would be better for both of us. I've been in that team for 3.5 years. I thought, like, I wanted to go separate ways. They wanted to try someone else. Doesn't bother me. We'll just do it and see what happens. And yeah, they just won the event. That shit happens,
If you'd known that staying on the team for potentially longer would have netted you an SI win, would you have still left for greener pastures in your eyes for Sonics, or would have you toughed it out to try to win SI? You would have toughed it out?
Of course, I would have toughed it out, of course.
Yeah.
But like,
You could win an SI. Come on.
yeah, of course.
I mean, okay, like it's at surface level, it seems like a silly question, but like if it then tied you to G2, because G2 were not this dominant force after that point, right? Like they won SI, but then it was like the W7M meta. Like he would have been really happy, obviously, to win SI, but then you could have potentially been even more miserable after that. Like, do you still make that trade? I assume everybody will trade anything for an SI win, but maybe not. Who knows?
I mean, that's why Benja left, no? It got miserable afterwards.
Yeah.
I bet he just couldn't wait to get to Susquehanna, Pennsylvania, to be honest. Like talk about greener pastures. Harrisburg, baby. Woo! Love that place. I was just there.
Why were you just there? Why were you there?
I'm from Pennsylvania. I know all about that area. Like I was just taking the fiance to meet some of the family in that area.
Do they golf?
All right, the annual golf section. Yeah, they golf.
Do they golf?
They golf. Yep. We did some golfing.
You golf with Kaysen? Was that what you did?
That's coming up. You're lucky. I was about to bring up all these new. We're talking about Cloud9 shitting on them, and I was about to say 100 Thieves, baby. They joined. They've been a great big organization. I've had meetings with some of those guys. Corey, the GM, seems like a really cool guy. Kaysen's gonna go on to be the MVP this year. Just you watch.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
We don't talk about turtle tactics anymore. What the Sonics obviously were a treasured institution. A lot of success in PUBG. Well, I think they were, frankly. Like, I mean,
Okay.
obviously
PUBG,
Sonics don't exist anymore. The org imploded. Now obviously the spiritual successor is Shopify Rebellion, picking up that core, picking up that identity.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, you're about to move to America. You're not really moving to like a big city. Did you have like a lot of other gamers, they've never really traveled. A lot of people don't have passports until they get invited to an event. Were you a worldly traveler, or were you just like, fuck it, I'll move to rural America?
I had a passport, yeah. But to be fair, I wasn't actually moving to Pennsylvania. I was just staying there for a duration, and then I went and lived in Austin, Texas.
Ooh, yeehaw.
Yeah.
Austin's a cool city, man.
Yeah, I do miss
You were in
that place.
Toronto for a little bit of time as well.
Yeah. 3 months.
Yeah. What time of year was it? Because that is going to really color your appreciation of the city.
I think it was like March. I remember it was cold, and then it got really hot, like 28 degrees Celsius hot. So it's whenever that happens with that.
It would have been probably March, April, May then, because April and May get kind of weird with weather. We'll have like boiling hot days, and then it'll be like 4 degrees and pouring rain. Was that an adjustment? You like the rain, or you don't like the rain?
I don't mind the rain.
Well, I guess, but if you're from England, you don't really have a choice, eh? Yeah. It rains. It really does it was quite stunning how overcast and gloomy Manchester was for like the entirety of that event. I was just like, this is not. The sun is so nice. You get the sun down there in Las Vegas, Kyle? You ever seen the sun?
We see a lot of it.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. What was it like moving to America?
Yeah. I want to know why.
Why is just an experience?
Why not EU, man? Yeah.
And there's no, apart from like BDS, there's not really any really good EU teams at the time, Like the Rogue obviously was forming, but like they weren't really like making changes, and else, I didn't really want to join them. But then obviously Sonics came and just thought like, like new experience. Speaking to my agent about it, and I just felt like it was the right choice in my career, at that moment,
Because you went from teaming with the greats, Alamo and Dokie and Penghu, and I want to know what it was like. You got to team with Gunner. Was that a big reason heading over? Hey, I had to throw a Gunner joke in there. He was rated F tier at that time on Sonics.
I know. Poor
Gunner. He's a beast. He's a bit of a beast, though. It's just a shame he's on support. Like
roles seemed to be the issue. That was kind of like your kryptonite on Sonics, right?
I mean, Sonics I didn't play too. I mean, the first C stage was kind of bad, but like the major and the events, I was playing pretty well. We all were as a team actually. Like the SI, the 2023, I think we all had like plus 1.1 rating or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then we still were knocked out by Astralis, I think, or someone. I can't remember back that far.
I just wanted to say roles seemed like an issue just because, at least from Gunner's standpoint, obviously he was on support and he's not really a support player that we can kind of see now. And he eventually had to get moved off the team. I believe you were still with them at the time when he got moved off, or okay, so he had to get moved off the team to kind of fix roles a little bit. Did you also take up, because you mentioned this before with G2, when did you first ever take up an IGLing role? Because that's kind of talked about recently now that you have a bigger voice and mentioned on DZ and Secret, which we'll get to. But I want to know, like, when was kind of like the first time? Was it G2 that you took up like IGLing, or even Navi?
Yeah, G2 was the first time. Like before the Berlin Major was the time when they actually like had a little vote and they said for me to IGL, and I said I'll just do it just for the sake of it,
Yeah, is that like a passion for it? Like, do you watch a lot of Pro League? Like, is it something you want to do, or was it just kind of like thrown at you? Like, hey, you seem knowledgeable, run the team now.
Back then, it wasn't like something that I sought after. It's something that I wouldn't have mind, but like, it wasn't like because I was playing really well at the time. I didn't want to take something that makes me play worse. If I can play at my best.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of I remember it was like a vote. They said for me for whatever reason, and I agreed to it, and then went from there.
Did you ever take up that mantle on Sonics? I can't remember because I know you guys had Geo most of the time, and I believe Geo was just kind of the IGL the entire time. Okay.
Yeah, Geo was number one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean Susquehanna Sonics. That was quite the time. I believe like nothing like you guys were a very short team. I believe from February 2023 to February 2024, basically just like a full year. Results weren't bad. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Super probably will. That might have been their first ever like stage 2 title. I believe they were first in NA for the first time in 2023 with you on that on the team. I could be wrong, but I think I remember losing that one. Was that in Vegas at the time?
2023 no.
Okay,
That was
so
online.
maybe there was another one before there. Were you guys either
2022,
way 20
yeah.
Oh,
That's when they
2022,
won.
okay.
Yeah.
Were you guys 2023 you guys like squeaked into like 6th place, I believe, like the last spot in playoffs, and then you ended up beating Dark Zero.
That was
It
yeah.
Those are the NAL
So, yeah.
finals, right? That was
Yes.
still that was where we still
NAL.
face it. Yeah.
the historied NAL finals. Just because I mean you guys were always really good inside of NAL, but then you get to like the Atlanta Major, 12th through 14th. SI was your guys' crowning achievement, 5th through 6th, where you guys did make top 6, which was like huge, especially for Sonics. I'm sure very successful. Was it just like G2, like at the end of Sonics? Like, did you have the option to go to M80, or was it kind of muddied at all near the end of Sonics?
I had the option to go M80. Like they wanted me as well.
And I'm assuming M80. We all know Marco's there. That's just like is that just a money move, or did you believe like they were? That's gonna be the team. That's gonna be the better.
Yeah, I definitely believe. I mean, that time as well, like Sonics were going to go into a full rebuild. Like they were going to get rid of Geo. I can't remember. Like they got rid of
Right.
Grixer at some point as well, didn't they? And they got like Merc, Ambi, and some other people.
Ambi, yeah.
And that's where I thought like, would I rather be in a rebuild where it doesn't sound too enticing, or go to one where I'm playing like Spoit, Cameraman, like one of the goats. Got Kino as well, who's good. Obviously Noodle as well, who's good at the time. He got like top 8 one of the majors, and obviously had the decision, and I just went for M80.
Okay. I'm kind of curious about that at M80 time, because you just named the roster right there. I remember, because I believe it was like old XSET team, right? It was like that DS team, Gomez, Yog.
Yeah,
I think
iconic.
they just moved off them, as M80 does, right? A lot of roster moves. And then they bring on, I think they already had Spoit. And then they bring on, like you said, you, Cameraman, Noodle, and Kino, which was like I think Kino was still there, I guess, then?
Yeah, he was.
So he's kind of been loyal to Kino for a while. What was that team like? Because that seems very like one of the very first, I guess, Brazilian imports with Cameraman, if you don't count like the Kino and Diaz and everything. How was like, I guess, language barrier with everyone from all over? You had, again, Noodle, Cameraman, yourself, very, very British.
Almost forgot about that entire roster, by the way. I forgot.
No, exactly. It was a very short term roster, because I believe you guys made roster changes pretty quickly. But I actually thought that roster, weirdly enough, had some potential. Do you kind of agree with that?
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, what was your kind of time there? Did you ever take up like IGLing or anything there? Any leadership aspect?
That was just purely Cameraman. I was the like second caller to help him if he needed it, but yeah, that was just like Boo Boo said I should do that, so I did. But Cameraman was definitely like number one. Cameraman sorted everything out. Like there was not a detail miss when he was calling something, you know. Like even the strats, yeah. Like before every game, he'd get up like a VOD, he'd show like a strat, and he'd be like, Kino, you need to do this. Ben, if they do this, then you do this, you know. Like he had everything down. It's crazy.
I just want, like, were you guys, when you guys did make roster moves when you were there on M80, were you ever a part of the decision making process? Because there was a point where you guys brought on one of my favorite players of all time, Apostolos Kanto Panagiotis, aka Hyper R6 for anyone unfamiliar. Yeah, were you kind of in the decision making process on M80? I'm just kind of curious to bring on Mr. Hyper. And why was he only there for 3 months, man? We ruined Hyper R6. What's going on? Why was he the scapegoat? I'm asking the real questions.
Problem at M80 was just there was just so much like conflict between like Bodega, Vivas, Cameraman, and then Kino. Like Kino would get so much like stick from like just everyone, because he would just like he was messing around a little bit, but like Cameraman would get onto him quite a lot more about like the mistakes he was doing, and then obviously Boo Boo and Vivas were just like screaming at each other like almost every day, and then just be like best friends next day. It was crazy. But yeah, like with the noodle drop as well, I remember like even messaging like Budega and like telling him like we shouldn't make roster changes, like just from my opinion, obviously.
Mhm.
But they had like the final say, and they thought getting rid of Noodle at the time was best. And then the choices that we had, to be honest, weren't like compared to Noodle, they just weren't as good. You know, like we had Hyper, but he hadn't played for like I don't know, like 6 months to a year. I don't know, like. And then we had Kobilax, who was just fresh, like
Mhm.
rank star, just won an element or whatever it was.
Yep.
And then the fifth was Geo, and obviously
Mm.
we thought getting Geo and Cameraman, like they're both unks, like they both play shields. It's gonna be hard.
Can't have
Like,
two unks.
yeah, we're gonna have to pop off like crazy if we want two unks on the team. But like scrimming with Geo was really good because like he's obviously him on shields is like crazy as well. And if he was a few years younger, maybe, or if Cameraman was a few years younger, I'd probably see them two together. But then, and obviously with Kobe, we trialed him, and he was just crazy. Like he was just crazy. You know how Kobe Lex is. He was just running
Yes.
around trying to shoot people, not really bothered about the strat. And then
Nope.
Hyper was like in the middle, you know. So we had like a really young one who was like had a potential, an old one who like already maybe hit his potential, couldn't frag as much, and then we had one in the middle that could do like has potential, but he also could frag. And obviously we just chose to go with Hyper. I mean, maybe the scrims as well. Like he was going beast mode in the scrims, like talking
I heard
as
he
well.
was.
Yeah, talking he was going great, shooting he was going great. So maybe that was like taxing on the decision to get him over the other two. But yeah,
Okay. So why 3 months for Mr. Apostolos?
like I said, there was just internals. Like
Internals.
I got like because the thing is like Boo Boo was crazy back then. Like nowadays he's 100% changed. Like Boo Boo, like he is
Yep.
crazy. He like most passionate guy I've ever met about C. Like he loves it. He'll die for this game.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously like him with that passion, and well as like Vivas, he also has passion. Like they were just banging heads, couldn't come to agreements, and then there would be like times where like we would talk about scrims after. I remember what the situations like me and cameraman, Vivas and Boo Boo, and it was something about Chalet like rotating to like trophy window or something. And like me and camera literally said like we didn't agree with it, and the Boo Boo just went crazy. And at that point, it was just like me and cameraman were like, yeah, like he can't speak to us like this, you know, regardless of how he is. Like you can't act like that. And then the change happened to get him out and just have Vivas as the head coach. And then what was it, the event that we didn't qualify? I can't remember what it was. We didn't qualify for one of the majors or whatever. And then Boo Boo came back in. Me and Camera were gone. And Hyper was gone. And then they brought in the Beast Coast core.
Can I think this would be a good point because I'm also curious because we were talking about 100 Thieves earlier, and they got a new coach you might know named Vivas. I'm kind of curious if your time like with Vivas on M80, and you also I believe worked with him on Secret. He was the assistant coach for Twister over there. For maybe aspiring 100 Thieves fans, or maybe if you want to shit talk him, that could be a good choice. But like, how's Vivas as a coach, like, compared to Boo Boo? Because obviously you made the decision to move off him.
I mean, they're literally the same.
Yeah.
They're just crazy passionate, crazy. I think the thing is with him especially, he's just like he doesn't know how to like talk to people. Like, it's hard for him to like if he wants to like rile up and give some motivation. It's hard for him to do that. He'll just like kind of like digs into you until you get angry, and then it builds up. You know, that was my experience from Secret anyway, especially. Yeah, like his knowledge on the game is crazy. Like same him and Boo Boo, like they know everything. Obviously, if they could play, they would be crazy players as well, but they can't. So like,
Right.
it's hard for them to put their mind in what they actually want. That's how
Is he
that's
a-
how it felt. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. That's how I felt on M80, especially is with and Sonics as well. The problem that I had playing was that the coaches were trying to IGL while being a coach, if that makes sense. Like cameraman couldn't really like do what he did from phase. It was what Boo Boo and Vivas wanted at that time, and it was same on Sonics. Like Geo, like we couldn't really do what we wanted, and Geo couldn't really call what he wanted because he was kind of like what Super wanted as well. You know, like he kind of there was a time where he wasn't in the team, and then when he come in, and then it's like a lot of changes happen. Like all the strats were kind of like for what he wanted, and I think that's like to play like as when the coach is IGL, like you can't really I don't know, like the feeling in game is just a bit weird. Like you can't do what you want to do. You can't do what you want to feel. Like you have to stick to what the coach wants, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I wonder this. I guess it's kind of a different question too, but because as our game gets older and older, and we have more players like myself that get archaic as well, and dinosaurs, and we turn into coaches. Do we think like players kind of respect coaches that have played a little bit more? I mean, you said you've worked with Super before, and obviously he's Mr. 1.6. But then there's also like the coaches like Boo Boo and Vivas who have a very high understanding of the game, but aren't good players themselves. Do you think like as a player, do you respect player coaches, I guess, a little bit more, right? Like the Blade from CSGO, who had a very good career, turns into coaches. Because it seems like the same over there in CSGO. Like there's certain teams, certain systems that are very like the coach controls it. I don't know if we're 100% there in Siege. I know maybe some teams are like that, but like you as a player, like what do you prefer?
I'm pretty open. I don't mind as long as if it's working, it's working. I'm that type of guy, you know. Like that's obviously with maybe like Fabian, I probably would just simply because he won a lot, you know. But other than that, like yeah, didn't really affect me.
I think it's a good question too, because you did spend a fair bit of time with Shas, who for probably no longer, but for a great deal of time, I think was near universal consensus that he was the best coach Siege has ever seen. I don't think you can say that anymore. But I mean, people certainly felt that way. And the dude he was fine at video games, but like he wasn't anywhere close to pro level. But I mean, you get a guy like look at some of the top coaches now, like Igor. Like Igor is probably one of the best coaches. Oh my god, I'm forgetting.
Rafael.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Like it's just like you've got these guys who are like brilliant at the game, but it's like I know players who almost have like this instinctive refusal to follow coaches that don't have experience, right? And you know, we see it as casters too. Like I can say the exact same thing as Penghu, and people will believe Penghu and doubt me. And I think that's perfectly reasonable. By the way, I'm not saying that that's wrong, and I'm not trying to say I'm as smart as Penghu. Of course not. But I do think that like being able to say like I've been there before surely must help, right? Like, is there any second guessing when you coach if you're being coached by somebody who's never played the game? Do you think you're more like unconsciously or even consciously likely to second guess them than if it's somebody who's played the game and been there before?
I think that's a tough question because it's like I think it's more so on like what they achieve. Like if it's just like a coach that isn't really like you could be a player coach and you can still like finish like last. You know, I think like Meepy has had this before. Like Meepy's played professional and he was in Rogue, Fnatic, and they finished like dead last a few times. You know, whereas you have like Igor, who doesn't played and he's a complete beast coach. Like he just won the invites majors. You know, I think yeah. So I think if a coach has won more, I'd obviously probably respect him a little bit more than I would another one, but I'd still be open-minded on what the other one has because maybe he has something crazy as well, you know?
Yeah, I think you got to be open-minded about it. I'm remembering even myself in my younger career when Bacon was our coach, and he was technically storied in a sense. All those second place finishes with EG, he's making events, he's getting second. He comes into the team. Of course, you're going to be open-minded. You're going to listen to him and everything like that. And love Jordan as a person, but we quickly found out he wasn't a strategic coach, which is what we were missing. And I felt like I knew more than him, and I remember having an ego at that time, and we would clash a little bit because I remember even a timeout he told us to pick cat. It was like on border. Oh man, this is a crazy story, but BC will remember this too. But it was like on border mid timeout, and he told us to bring a bunch of shield operators because they kept pushing the armory box on border. And he's like, guys, any op that has a deployable shield, just bring deployable shields and put 3 of them looking at the armory breach and then bring a castle. And we're all like, what is this guy talking about? We're all just going to sit behind deployable shields? Like, what? Like, this is not, we've never done this before. So
that's the 300 series defense where you all put your shields up like a phalanx and you just wait for them to crash against you. It's brilliant. Brilliant stuff.
They're running, you know, Ash was perma back then with Sledge, so like there's so much destructible. Like we're just gonna sit behind our shield and die to nades. A nade under, I guess back then too was crazy. Like I don't know. It was one of the most ridiculous things I've heard. Even in Tokoname, there was a timeout too where there was a certain map and he told us to bring a castle again. And I just remember me and BC were like, no, we're not doing that. But like it happened more back then. I think now again, like we do have a lot more experienced coaches in our scene. A lot of ones that have used to play and retire, and I think those are ones that usually it kind of buys yourself a little bit of time. Like players will gravitate towards you, especially early on, because you have something to go off of, right? You have your career, and like people look at that and like look at a team like Wildcard, for example, like Legotness. I think everyone bought into that system immediately because of like what he's done compared to like those players. None of them have really done anything besides maybe Kansan. So it's like they're immediately going to buy in based off that, and then he proves himself over time. I think he's already putting his name into like one of the best coaches that we have right now, which is awesome for him. But and then again, we have our check stealing coaches every once in a while. Or I guess I would also say like sometimes there are teams that just need mental coaches, right? Like there's some teams with like really strong like players that are very good at strategy. Nafe was one of them. I think Nafe does like really, really good strats. Troy's always done really good with strats. And it's like sometimes you don't have to be a coach that comes up with strategy. Sometimes you just need to manage personalities. And I think Fabian does a good job of that. He's a manager of personalities because he has a very strong personality himself. And I think there's some teams that need to be managed. You look at like that BDS team when they had Shaiko and like effect kind of going at each other. Sometimes the coach has to be like the big boss and like put everyone kind of in their place and not really a strategy guy. So it all kind of depends on what team you're on or, you know, the players that you have.
Yep.
Anyway, after M80,
I was going to say, we
this is where I want to go. Sorry, this is where I
quite a bit of time here. I'm fine with it. I'm enjoying this. I just want to hear about.
Oh, you want to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you keep going. You keep going.
Man.
You keep going. You keep going.
Okay, well, we're done with M80, which is great. We talked about. Did you know Apostolos, by the way, Parker? Did you know that was his name?
What, Paul?
Yeah, Paul. That's his full.
Well, I mean, I've seen his like legal name, but I just think it's funny to hear you say it.
Well, we used to say it every day. Like that's how we called out.
He's very Greek.
Very Greek.
Good. He's very Greek.
Greek freak. Anyway, it was really cool to hear kind of like what was kind of like the inner workings over on M80 because I have my own thoughts about that entire organization, and we're gonna move on to my other favorite organization.
Share those. Why don't you share those thoughts?
We've already shared those thoughts multiple times. Just pay your players, man. DZ. My other favorite organization, the Blokes have invaded. You went from Sonic's M80. How did your time kind of end at M80? Like, was this your decision to kind of move off, or was this, maybe some other hands were in that cookie jar, and it might have been time for you to move out of there?
I think it was purely Boo Boo getting some revenge, to be honest, on me and cameraman. Right before invite as well, after we qualified.
So all that hard-earned work of qualifying for SI, one of those kind of players. I always hate when roster changes happen right before SI. I always feel like there should be like, I don't know, something about it. I think we did that one time on DZ where we moved off a player and we were like, you like got us there, so we're still going to give you a split of the prize pool because we felt bad. But like, I always feel like that's such a rough time to kind of move on from somebody.
Yeah,
it's not even SI too. It's when a team is together for like 2 years, grinds through CL, finally makes Pro League, and then dumps 2 of the players immediately. And it's like, look, I can understand if you're like a team and you want to be the best, and suddenly now you're in pro play and you got better players knocking on your door, being like, I want to suit up for you. Like, cool. But like, I do think there is something to be said about loyalty, right? Like, but then again, like, if loyalty means that you might lose your job, do you stay loyal to those people or do you potentially try to save yourself, right? Tough call.
Business.
Yeah. And it is a business, right? Like, it's Laxing is a great example of that. On Cloud9, he gets benched. They basically say, like, we're going to find somebody better. They didn't find somebody better. They unbenched him, and Laxing was like water off a duck's back. Like, I know of a specific player in North America where they told him that they were going to be potentially trialing replacements if he didn't improve, and literally barricaded himself in his bedroom for 2 days, and then in the middle of the night moved out of the team house, and just like, I guess that's it. He was off the team. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like, it's like, I get it's a business. I get we're people. But at the end of the day, like, loyalty means nothing in business. Only be loyal to yourself. It's just like, it does kind of suck from like a human thing where it's like, I made SI, and it's like, nope, you did. You're not gonna play in it. Yeah. Anyway, did I interrupt your question?
Yeah, you did. You just threw me off, man. I'm sorry. No, I was looking at Dark Zero. I was scrolling for their page real quick. But the Boo Boo Revenge Tour. He comes back. Boom, you're off. SI. They go on to win the event. No, I'm just kidding. That didn't happen. Didn't happen this time.
You
But
mentioned
instead,
a second time it
imagine
happened.
SI. Jeez. But you went to Mr. Dark Zero, Brandon Carr, the bald genius himself. How did that kind of all come about? Was after M80, were you kind of thinking about maybe it's time to go back to EU, or was it like right away like, nah, I want to stay in North America. I want to stay in Texas.
No, I definitely thought about going to Europe. I was actually going to, but I think when I asked DZ and they basically said they want to trial me, I obviously jumped right at it. I think it was stupid if I didn't.
Right, and that was, I believe, timeline-wise, I say as I believe as I'm staring at it. Bolo retires, Kobe Lax leaves, and this is when they get you and Mr. Spirits, a.k.a. the new Shield Lord, around town. You also had Kangaroo Kenny joining you guys, so the whole... Did you find the Blokes arrived to America? Do you find this at all funny or humorous or maybe more annoying that the Blokes that's kind of the stigma around Dark Zero is like, oh, it's going full English over there.
I didn't even care. I didn't even know it was a thing, to be honest. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Nice. Okay. And then you even got Coma, who I believe was European as well, and he might even be
He's
British.
English.
Oh.
That was a Kangaroo
God.
Kenny pickup, though. That was not us.
That was the Kangaroo Kenny pickup.
He's not even a kangaroo, and his name's not even Kenny. It's just like,
No,
what's going on here,
right.
man?
Not
Like,
even
I don't.
Australian.
Man.
I know.
Has he even been there?
Yeah, he used to live there. I used to ask him
Okay.
where he got it
Okay.
from, because he used to live there. Yeah.
Not to call him a fraud. Anyway, you guys had great success on DZ. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was a little skeptical as I normally am. As a hate watcher. I think I just moved off that team. Went to Unwanted, had some great success there, and then got robbed. You guys get my boy Spirits. You guys have some great success. It was, I believe, the new ban phase was kind of introduced, and you guys were one of the first teams to really like abuse that at a high level. You have Spirits, who plays all the shield operators, Glaz, Ying, right? All that. You can't ban everything, which is a huge advantage. Yep. You guys use it. You guys had some pretty good success at Reload, but we're not going to talk about Reload because that whole format. And pretty good success like early in the year. I believe even beating Furia was kind of a highlight for Dark Zero because that was a team we just didn't beat in the past. We always struggled against Brazilian teams. What happened though after that? That's where I usually love to boom my story, where I tee it off to like Nafe. Tee it off. By the way, I heard you guys golfed on DZ.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Dude, shut up about golf. Oh my god,
he did.
Dude.
He golfed. How was it? No, I'm just kidding.
All he fucking talks about is
That's
golf,
not true.
dude. Fuck off.
Go play golf. Golf is good. Summertime golf. Driving a little
All
car
right,
around.
I got it, guys. I gotta go.
Drive a little car around, huh? Maybe get a drink.
Yeah. I bet I'd love golf. I bet I'd love golf, man. If somebody just wanted to golf with me, you know. Anyway, sorry.
Troy's literally anyway. Anyway, so how was kind of the second half of Dark Zero, right? You guys started on a high, and then something happened, which I got from Nafe and Kenny, that basically you guys decided to get away from the cheese ops and go to more fundamental, like more into your fundamentals. Do you believe that was the right decision? And like, how was kind of the latter half of your Dark Zero career?
I think it was. I don't know how to say this. It was like the right thing, but the wrong way, if that makes sense. Like, it was the right decision, but it was just completely the wrong way. Like, we shouldn't have gone off the cheese stuff. Like, the thing that was happening is just teams would do like they would start extend layer, and it'd just be a top Cade bunker. For some reason, we just couldn't crack a top Cade bunker, no matter what we tried. And I think it mainly came from Kenny and Nafe about like going off the shields. But I think that was kind of a big mistake, because what's the point in having like someone like Spirits, who at that time was good on the shields, and just like, nah, you just play like a normal up, like it's just pointless. Like, we could still be fundamentally good at Siege with him on like a shield or Ying. We just have to play it differently, you know? That's something we didn't do.
Do you think that Weibo, I believe it was the Weibo game, do you think that was kind of the blueprint for how to beat you guys right there?
I think that Weibo game, like that clubhouse especially, that was just, I don't even know. I remember just being like in lounge, getting 3 kills, and we just lose the round on cash, and I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And it's one of them games, I'd say. Even on Lair, like Lair, they were just feeling themselves. They were spawn peeking. They were playing aggro. They were getting good timings, all that stuff. You know, it's just one of them games. I don't think it was like a full like, oh, we just couldn't fundamentally beat them. It's just like, no, they were just better than us on that day.
Did you like going back to the org? I guess we can stop hate watching for a second. Did you enjoy your time on Dark Zero? Like, is there anything that kind of stood out with like Dark Zero as opposed to maybe some of your other previous NA orgs like M80 and Sonics?
More reliable than some orgs, I will say that money wise. But yeah, I think DC was a fun org though. Like with Brandon. Brandon's a good guy. Made it fun as well. Team was fun as well. Like, again, going out golf, going gym, stuff like that. Good time. Second half of the year, I think that's when we started declining, is because we stopped going golf. We moved to Houston, and we stopped going gym because everything changed, and we had to, you know, just I think it did mess us up a little bit.
Did Brandon surprise you, the kind of person he was? Because like you shook his hand in Tokoname, you said he was like zoned out. You probably thought he was a super serious person. I think everyone does.
Yeah.
And then you meet him, and he's extremely goofy, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like-
I didn't expect that. He's funny, like very funny.
Yeah, no, he's a funny guy. And like for your GM, and he didn't live at the house, right? He lived like close by in Houston,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
like 5 minutes away.
Okay, and then how was your time in like Houston? Did you guys get to like go explore, eat barbecue? Hopefully.
Yeah, we ate barbecue, but Houston was terrible. Like compared to Austin, like Austin just clears, in my opinion, like by far. Like
The weather-wise, or
weather-wise,
city?
golf-wise, gym-wise, going out-wise.
He's talking a lot about golf, Parker. He
I'm
keeps
choosing not
mentioning
to
how much
engage.
fun he had in golf.
I am choosing. I'm choosing not to engage with the golf-related conversation.
What's his favorite club? You could ask him. You know, like, is he a
Driver?
big driver? Driver. There it is.
Yeah, I
Got
love
it.
smashing some balls.
Got to pull out the big dog. Got to pull it out.
Yeah.
Hit that thing 300. I'm sure over there. Nick was golfing like a lot too, right?
Yeah, Nick was probably the best one out of us all. Like me and Nate kind of just started, and he'd obviously been before, so he's more consistent.
Yeah.
But yeah.
In that latter half, then okay, you guys are starting to go downhill. Like, again, going back to some of your other teams, it looked from the outside in like there was a lot of frustration built into the team because like you guys could not just make it over the hump. And I believe it was even Nick who mentioned something during like the closed qualifiers versus OXG. Did it feel like there was a lot of pressure on that match? Because that was like a big match of like, I think they even typed in chat, whoever loses this, and they were talking to you, we're going to lose their jobs. Like, did it literally feel like that in that match with kind of how your guys' trajectory was going?
No. I mean, they say that, and then they lost their jobs afterwards, so it doesn't even like it doesn't bother me, you know. Like they lost anyway. But with that game, though, that game was just a fever dream. There was there's just situations that like like people are jumping in windows, dying, not calling out, like stuff like that, complaining. It's just like, it wasn't a fun environment. Like the game like the day before that game was fine. Like we was all talking, having fun. Like we was doing good. Played like same maps as well, and yeah, then we just next day I don't know. We just woke up and it was just terrible. Like just didn't feel like a team at that time, you know.
From what I've heard, you guys were like disgusting in scrims. I don't know if you can attest to that, but even when I was on Dark Zero, we were typically shitting on everybody in scrims at all times, and like that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. Were you guys like, there was no hint that you guys were gonna miss the major, right? Like you guys were probably feeling like a top team.
When I first joined DC, I think we literally went like 2 months. We didn't lose a single map. Like it was crazy. Like,
Yeah.
but then the second half of the year, yeah, that's when it started going downhill. But we're still doing good in the scrims. But yeah, for that LCQ, even the LCQ, we was doing good. Like I don't know. Like we just woke up and it was just terrible.
Do you think, like, it again outside looking in, it seemed like? Do you think, personality-wise, that you didn't have, or I guess how was it like? You're kind of a quiet guy-ish, like personality. You're not getting like super loud. You're not yelling. Nick, same way. Pamba, same way. Even Rival seemed like a very modest guy, right? Nave, like your only energy source seemed like from Kenny, when Kenny would get real loud and animated, which everyone loved, and I thought was a great pickup for you guys. Do you think that might have been a factor on the team, that you didn't have any like raw kind of guys? You even mentioned like you guys really weren't hanging out anymore and going outside and doing things.
Yeah, I could say. I mean, we still had like moments where we were screaming. But yeah, probably were missing like little Kobe Lax energy or something like that, you know.
Everyone's missing a little Kobe Lax energy. Even Bo, I think a lot of people don't realize like when Bo retired how much that kind of hurt because Bo was he is a funny guy. If you watch his streams, he's the same when he's scrimming. Like he is talking about dick jokes and everything you could fucking think of. Like you wouldn't think that Bo would do, but he will do. So yeah, just having somebody on the team, which is what I learned on Unwanted when we had Dream and Gavin, who were basically both Kobe Lax and this just puppy dogs, just laughing everything off, is like a great thing to have. And I think a lot of teams don't, or maybe a lot of people watching don't realize like you need like the right kind of personality mix for a team. It's not just all skill. Like you need people that actually want to like obviously put in the work, but you're gonna have some fun with it also because we are playing a game as a job and it's not just a business. So I think a lot of people kind of overlook something like that. I think that's even what Alamo was talking about, which was I was loving in that podcast, right? With they got Shaiko over there and it seems like they're just having a ton of fun. I don't know if that's something that bothers you when you look over and watch G2 now with Alamo having a ton of fun, but
I'm not a hate watcher. I don't know where this thing
no hate watching.
I don't hate watch. I haven't hate watched.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Are we hate watching anybody? Or we hate watching them? You've been on a lot of teams. We hate watching M80, Shopify, G2, nothing.
No, I have. Well, I have no beef with them. Like no reason. And like even like some of the Brazilian guys come up to me and they like nudge me and like, "Oh, you happy G2's gone?" I'm like, what do you want me to say? Like, I don't care. Like, even though they laugh about it. But yeah.
I wanted to dig into it so badly. I wanted to be like, let's unearth some saltiness here, and you wouldn't give me anything. I'm 0 for 2 in the last 2 episodes where I tried the same with Troy. I tried to get Troy to talk about like Ambi and Rexen and them from like SR and what went wrong in the grand. I mean, I got him mad. It worked.
You got
him. He didn't give me the answer I wanted. I was hoping for him to open up about everybody else on the team, but Troy's a consummate professional. All he would talk about was himself. He would not talk about any of his teammates. And I was like, that's not what I want. I want to hear about what happened with the other players on your team. And he was like, I'm not giving you that. Damn it. And I wanted to be like, you cry when you saw G2 win SI, and you're just like, no, I'm happy for them. And I was like, damn it. We're not here to create drama, but if drama exists, well,
yeah. I mean, that G2 thing, I literally remember getting messages from people saying like, "You okay?" And I'm like, of course I'm okay. I'm not gonna go and do something crazy just because G2 won an invite. You know what I mean? Like, I've got more things to worry about.
Yeah.
So did you cry when DZ won the major?
No. I'd be more shocked if
I did. No, I'm just kidding.
I'd be more shocked if Ashen didn't cry because he was with that core for a long time. Even Benjamin taste of his own medicine. He left that team and they won a major. Like, you know.
True.
Yeah.
That's a good point about Ashen because I know a lot of very similar because a lot of people get on him right now with how much he likes to shit talk people, and now maybe he's the problem. Right now he's got to answer those kind of questions on M80, and that whole team's probably being hate watched this season since they dropped Hot and Cold, and he's beloved.
Yeah, it's crazy drop. I didn't even expect that.
Oh, well, speaking of that drop, they went and picked up Savage, and you just played with him on Secret. You mentioned at the beginning of the show, I think you said, we'll talk about that shit show later. Later is, unless Parker, unless you have anything to say, I think later is now. I'd love to talk about this last team and Secret. So you're done with your NA tour, Sonics, M80, DZ. I figured it was about time for you to go back to Europe, just in the sense of like, I've heard from others, like you might even have like your own house there or a relationship or anything like that. So it's like, I think that's what people don't think about too, is when you're an import, eventually it's like you kind of get a little bit homesick. You got family, whatever it might be. You know, Dash just went from wildcard. He went back to Brazil. He was homesick. Eventually you're going to go back. You went back, you went to EU, you went to Secret, which were, some big shoes to fill. You had to fill Joom's shoes, who's a lot of people say the best EU player, maybe even best player in the world, or right behind Handy. Yeah, so you had to fill Joom's shoes. You guys brought Nathan with DZ. A lot of people were questioning it from the outside, like they just finished, second place to FaZe. Are they going to be able to live up to those expectations? What was kind of your time like on Secret? I mean, again, you got to bring a familiar face with you with Nate, but how was your time working with Savage, Noah? Floor is yours.
I mean, to be honest, it was just kind of miserable, really. Like nothing else. Just the environment was just very toxic. They kind of cut my voice entirely from that team as well. You know, like they didn't want me to speak; they just want me to play the game. You know, but then they bring me in to fill Jume's shoes, and then they put me on to hold outside jump outs on cafe. And then you know, like, how am I going to play? Like, how am I going to replicate what you want me to do for Jume when I'm outside doing nothing? Like, I don't know. That team was like, all the guys are good. Like the players all fine. Like even though, like, you know, if you know about Savage, he is a bit like, he can get, I guess what people think I'm like is what he is like. You know, like he can get onto you. Like if you make a mistake, he doesn't choose his words right. May shout at you more often. You know, that type of guy. But it still comes from a good place. This is why it's different with me. Like I can, you know, it's fine. If you do it to me, I'm not going to sit there and like cry about it. It's come from football background. It's normal when coaches shout. But yeah, I think just playing in secret, I'm being told by the coach to do one thing, being told by the assistant coach to do another thing, I'm being told by a Savage to do something, and it's just like they want me to play 3 different ways. So if I please one guy, I upset 2 others. You know, it's like there's no. That was my experience in that team, and obviously the environment. Like I don't think anyone in that situation could perform well in an environment where it's kind of hostile like that.
Well, I mean, the team also completely fell apart after their SI run, right? Like their SI run was a bit improbable. I don't think it surprises some people, but like if you're going into that event and you're like, our team secret going to make top 2, I think some people will be like, sure, but a lot of people probably be like, maybe like a top 6 run for them. And they obviously come together, and then there's, from what I'd heard, Jume leaving was largely an org thing. I just heard that Team Secret doesn't really have the money to pay players the same way that certain other EU teams do.
Yeah.
And it's just like a financial decision. Like, you know, if you have an opportunity to get paid triple what you're making or double what you're making on a team that is like Falcons would be pretty much similar to Secret in terms of success, you go do that. You know, like Jume, what if Jume's only a pro for another 2 years? Make as much money as you can, you know, like fuck, I've said this about EWC. Like if you have the opportunity to go get an outrageous bag, like go do it. Like go get that money. You don't know how long or how short your career is going to be. So I feel like losing Adrian and losing Jume, like, and then having to just like bring on new players. Not that you and Nafe aren't good, but it's just like if I was an existing player, I would be a bit bitter about how everything went down, and I could absolutely see that kind of, you know, poisoning the well.
I think that's exactly what happened. I think players in that team just got jealous. I think that's why Adrian dropped ship, because his move was just like out of nowhere, like it just happened. And
that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, like when I first was going to trial with Secret, it was only for 1 spot, but then I think my spot like got guaranteed because he just left, and that was and Nath was replacing him. You know, like so yeah. Obviously, I think that's why Savage kind of just jumped ship as well, because he just wants. I mean, like you said, like get the bag. If you get offered, like might as well take it.
Yeah.
And like obviously knowing what the other guys are on that team, like I mean they're on like kind of ridiculously low money for how good the year was last year. You know, like. So yeah, I think them sitting there seeing like Adrian go off and however much, Jume going Falcons earning the Saudi bag, you know, kind of got to them a little bit.
It's the roles kind of confuse me on that team, because it's like you got brought in to be the Jume replacement when a lot of people thought that they were just going to move Noah into Jume's roles like 1 for 1. But it was like I watched that team and I was just like, I didn't obviously I'm not the right guy to be like I didn't understand what was going on. But it's like if I'm able to see that things are not, you know, going the way they should, I think then things are probably not going the way they should. You know, like you don't need to be a major winning coach to know that. And it's just like it's vibes, right? Like I can only imagine how hard. Did you just raise your hand?
You said major winning coach.
Oh, sorry, that's right. Yeah, I was talking about you. Yeah, just
yeah.
Keep reminding. You just gotta keep reminding people. Golf. I lived in Poland. You know, all the usual stuff.
Did?
We just gotta hit on. I did. Yeah. Reoccurring jokes at
Professional
the little
Call of Duty player too, right?
no. I don't know why that keeps getting brought up.
Did you know that? He's a professional Call of Duty player.
I am not.
Look him up on Wikipedia.
I am not. I am not. I've talked about. I don't
INTERRO.
know. It's on Wikipedia because it was on
we both played COD. He played with Nate.
And Terra Bang.
I did not play with Nage. I did not. He's pulling my leg here. We have to hit on the same thing every single episode. We have to do it, and then people in the comments will be like, "You always do this. We always talk about this because it's a joke."
I haven't seen anyone complain yet. Guys, let me know down in the comments. Can I keep talking about golf? Like, guys, golf, Kaysen,
Turtle Tactics, but we
Sorry.
don't talk about them anymore.
No, we're not talking about them anymore.
We don't talk about turtles anymore. No.
Is Kaysen your son or?
Might as well be. You might as well be paying Kaysen's rent. Kaysen might as well be paying your rent now.
Hot and Cold's my son, and my son just had a kid, and that's Kaysen. Right? So now he's under Papa Hot and Cold, and Hot and Cold's gonna take care of him. Don't worry.
I mean, that Kaysen is a beast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he lives up to the hype, but
Yeah, he's probably like top prospect in the world right now for sure. No like I'm not even over glazing. Like
woo.
he's if you watch his clips, well, he's got crazy aim.
We will see him in action on Thursday, whenever the first day of NAL is, because this will be the last DBNO before the stage 1 starts. So yeah, Ben, this episode should be going live right before you guys start up your first play day, which will be exciting. Did we want to keep talking about these older teams, or do we want to focus now a little bit, like finish up on Secret and then move over to Fnatic? Because I feel like this is a nice way to kind of shift us into where you're at now. I'm conscious of time. We're about just a little over 2 hours at this point. It's flown by.
Yeah.
As they typically do when you have somebody who's a good conversation. So I mean, it's kudos to you for us being able to just blink, and now we're at 2 hours. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Producer David is saying, or give or take. But no, I mean that Secret Squad. It's hard to go into, and I mean, like, what do you do? How do you handle that? Like, if you got 3 power brokers on the team, all telling you different things, is there ever a point where you just kind of bring them all together and be like, guys, we all got to get on the same page here? Or are you like, I'm probably going to only be on this team for a couple weeks. I don't really fucking care.
It's more so I just didn't have a voice in the team, I think they just wanted me to just literally just play the game. That was it. So yeah.
Is it bad though? Do you not just, are you okay just being a soldier, or do you want input?
I can be a soldier, but I think you need input now. Like, you can't just like waddle around the map and just let people run into you. Like, you gotta like talk to someone. Like, is this guy still here? Can he take Then you think like, if this guy's holding this and there's a guy holding it, I have a gap here. Like, I can't just walk around and just expect things to happen.
Yeah, that's true. Did you think at any point? Sorry, Kyle. Did you think at any point that Secret would go on longer than kickoff? Were you under any illusions? Like, when you joined the team, did you think? Was that going to be your question?
Yep. Great question.
It's like, did you think Secret was going to be long term, or what?
I mean, I was hoping it was going to be long term, considering how good they were last year. I wanted to. That's the whole reason I joined them. I could have joined them, GK or Fnatic, and I was thinking, might join GK because the project looks promising. But then obviously Secret came. It's just like, they clearly have a winning formula. I want to go over there and see if I can replicate it.
Yeah,
and it was just unfixable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that team as well. Like, even with like the new guys coming in, they're going to be walking on eggshells, thinking like, if me and Nath lasted a month or whatever, I think they're going to be thinking the same. Like, if they don't play well, what happens? It's all that undoubt pressure that comes, like, making a decision like that.
Who did Secret get?
V Drills, English guy, and Oscar, English guy, and Flexi.
I was gonna say that. Well, so who's their IGL now?
Flexi. Oh, I heard it was Mowgli. I think there was like they were trying to get Blaz, but Secret, for whatever reason, signed. They signed me and Nave for 1 month, kicked us, and then tried to get buyout. So they wanted to try and get Blaz. Yeah, Blaz wanted to leave Shifters or something like that to join. These are all just rumors, speculation.
Yeah.
But yeah, he wanted to join Secret with Mowgli, I presume, they're like pals or whatever. But then like Secret, like, well, we want money. Oh, we'll trade you Nath, but we want money, and didn't happen. And then they got V Drills, but then they sold Nath to Shifters for P4, because they kicked P4, didn't they?
Yes, which I do think is a good move. Did you have any decision to bring Nath over? Because you said about, like, obviously you were locked in.
For Fnatic or Secret?
For Secret.
No, Nath was already there. Like, I think his spot was already settled. Yeah, I was kind of like the late one,
Yeah. And how soon to you joining the team? I'm just curious. Did you, like, lack of a better word, get muted? Right? You weren't allowed to, like, say what you wanted?
For like 3 or 4 days. They were kind of strict
Wow.
with it. I will be honest. I don't want to get too much into it because I do like
Okay.
the players with like
Yeah.
I don't want to shit talk the players because they didn't do anything really. Like they were just
Right.
playing. It was more the coach and stuff. But yeah,
Could you? It was Nafe muted.
well, Nath's job was not to be muted, so that's why they got him in, so
Okay.
he can be like the second voice to Savage if he needed it. But like, there was even
Yeah.
a lot of times where he would get muted.
Yeah, because that
If,
was kind
you
of the again looking from the outside in was like maybe there's too many voices now because Adrian's not known to be a talker and Joom I don't think is known to be a talker and obviously you're rumored to be an IGL in some of your teams in the past and then adding Nafe onto the team who was the Dark Zero IGL. It's like, is that going to be too much? Is Savage going to clash with them? That's what it looked like how it blew up. And then the roles Parker brought up are, yeah, watching you guys, most people thought you were just going to step into the Joom role, but as I'm watching, and Secret does a lot of the same strats and I studied them in the past. I'm watching you guys play Bank, and I'm like, no, he's on the Noah role. Like he's on Windows. Like that's Joom's. No wonder Noah's dropping 20. Noah got moved to the Joom role on a lot of these maps. Like,
yeah,
go compare him and Joom stats, and then it kind of makes sense. It's like maybe all of their eggs are in one basket towards a certain position for a lot of Secret strats. So it was kind of interesting.
Well, to be fair with the Noah thing, it was Savage's call because Noah was literally playing like insane. Like he got second best player of the year as well. So he wanted
Yeah.
to get him off. Like the roles he was on at the time were more like passive, and he wanted to put him on roles where he could be more aggressive, so like he could run and do his thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he thrived in that role.
Yeah.
I think, you know, now he just needs.
Well, and Snake got released. He's a
True.
beast on Snake with the F2, yeah. When they buffed that gun.
Was it Snake that he walked in East Stairs
Yeah.
and just killed everybody? Yeah, that clip was insane. He just ended that game.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
was actually a beast. Like he doesn't seem like the type of guy that he doesn't even really say much. He just does and then kills. Like it's weird. He's one of those guys,
Was that match against Fnatic?
Falcons.
Falcons.
It was Falcons.
Against Joom.
Falcons. It was another F
It
team.
was the dagger at Joom. How good did that feel? Like, did it feel like you guys ever were gonna right the ship? I mean, I think you were down 0-6 versus Geek and you brought that back, right? And then you have that game versus Falcons. Like, were these games that like made you think you guys could work through some of your issues, or were those issues kind of always there?
I think they were always there.
Okay.
Like even the
Fair.
scrims, the Secret by far worst scrim team I've ever been in. I was losing every scrim. It was so bad.
Yeah.
So you want us to use a photo of you in the Secret jersey for this thumbnail? Is what you're saying? To honor your time.
I want to stay out Secret. I don't want nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Just the players. No beef on the players.
So you keep saying the players, and it's like it makes me kind of like I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you keep saying players, and the way we talked about Vivas earlier, I'm a little worried that maybe it's the coaching staff or Twister or Vivas, or maybe there was just like a clash between that and Savage. Who knows? I don't know if we'll ever get the answer unless you're willing to share it, but
I mean,
we can move on to Fnatic.
There was a lot of rumors like speculating around Twister about how he is and what he's like, because he has, from rumors alone, he has like kind of snaked some people, kicked them from the team, stuff like that. Obviously, I just ignored that, thinking like,
Right.
oh, he's probably not that type of guy. A month later, okay, might have been, because I think he also made a decision about Vivas as well, because they didn't really see eye to eye. Like he's kind of just, I mean, Twister didn't really do a lot. He's more of like player coach. Like he doesn't really bother with strats or stats. He just, he's just kind of there, to be honest, like talking to the players. There's more, Vivas did more like the strats and stuff like that and helped out more, and Savage as well. Savage, to be fair, Savage literally did everything. Like it was crazy. I didn't expect that from him. Like he did, like even when he was calling in the game, like he was calling constantly. Like he was speaking every single second. He was just speaking about what to do, where to go, where they are, what they're doing. Like I've never actually experienced someone who's like that good at doing that. Like, even cameraman, like different level. I have to give it to him.
So, Fnatic, what are your expectations for this team coming in? Because we almost started the episode off by talking about Fnatic's consistency issues, lack of success, like as an org of its size. I mean, you could maybe argue that the most success they saw was when they were in APAC. So it's like, how do you feel about this current iteration of Fnatic?
I'm confident. Like going into this team, obviously I knew like what you said about the consistency issues and stuff. But like actually playing with them, I can tell like they are a good team. It's just I think the biggest thing from what I've seen already is just they need to transfer. It's gonna sound cheesy, but they need to basically transfer the scrim to the official. You know, like they need to have that same mindset because in scrims, like the stuff they're doing, like when you scrim against them, like you like these guys are idiots. Like, everyone will say like, "Oh, Fnatic scrim, they're just gonna run around." But then when I'm actually playing with them, it's all like they all have like reactions on how to do stuff. They have good team play, this type of stuff. So I think actually if I can do that with my experience to try and like help them with that, to like stay confident in the officials from the scrims, I think we'll do fine. Like, but I have no issues with that.
I mean, EU is going to be really tough. There's a lot of good teams in Europe. I think if you look at the way that they did during Salt Lake, I think the region is pretty wide open. I mean, Fnatic being a contender throws kind of a wrench in everything, right? Like, I mean, Twisted Minds kind of, I don't want to say they came out of nowhere, but I don't know if anybody was thinking Twisted Minds would be a consistent top 4 team. I certainly didn't. And now Fnatic's knocking on that same door, like.
Yeah, Twisted Mind, Dark Horse. I don't think anyone expected
Yeah.
that. Obviously they're good, but that good. That's pretty good for them.
Yeah, I mean, they were a couple rounds away from making the grand finals. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and they were doing it technically with a sub, even though I know that Guards and Dovahkiin are twins and
Twins.
have both played on the team before. Yeah, but I made a joke. I was like, what's to say that they just didn't, it actually was Dovahkiin just
The
using
same
all the
person.
Guards ID. Like, who the hell would actually know?
I think there was an event that we were like practicing the walk-ons, and Handy and Nade actually switched jerseys, and the stage guy had no clue. No one knew. Like they
Yeah.
just walked out with their other team just for fun. So that'd be fun to have a twin.
I was supposed to be a twin. Twin died. There you go. There's your little fun fact for the day. I was originally a twin in the womb, and the one twin ceased developing, and
Identical?
we assume so.
Yeah.
It was quite early. Like sex of the fetus was never known. Like, my mom speculates that my dad's sister's dog jumped off the couch and landed on my mom's stomach and caused it, but there's no proof of that, so we just assume. We don't know. But anyway, I survived. That's all that matters. But there could have been 2 of me, and I probably would have been way more bearable. So, but no, I mean, do you ever find, because you've actually been on quite a number of teams, Des actually just tweeted not too long ago that in the last 2.5 years, you've actually been on 6 tier 1 teams. What are you raising your hand at?
I was just about to say that tweet, and I was going to read one comment under it, but go ahead.
Read it. No, I was going to say, feel free to work this in. I was just going to say, like, how do you feel as a human being and as a teammate? How do you feel when you get on a new team? Is it like hope springs eternal? Like, do you feel like newly motivated? Is it like just clocking in another job?
Same motivation, like as any other team. Just obviously just want to be successful in it. Like I honestly hate just chopping around teams. To be honest, I want to. That's why I thought Secret would be like a consistent project. You know, I could be on that team for like a year, hopefully do well this year, maybe go on for another year, this type of stuff. But yeah, like the unexpected changes, like even with M80 and obviously Secret, it's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah. Kyle?
Well, I just kind of want to ask, like, tie up the whole episode, because people are tuning in. Obviously, they're like, oh, it's a Citizen episode. Let me see the drama, right? Des tweets that 6 tier 1 team in the last 2.5 years. I just want to know why you kind of, we talked about it the entire time, like your history, but like, why do we kind of think, and what is your answer to like why this is your 6th team in 2.5 years? Because you're consistently, if you look under like these type of comments, right? You got Midnight Hex 42 here with a fantastic anime picture that says, do you reckon it's a stats thing or a personality thing? I've heard he could be hard to work with at times, but every time I watch him, he seems like he either goes 20-0 or 0-8 type of player. He also hasn't had the best stats as of recent, from what I recall, on less supportive roles. So, I mean, again, we talked about all your teams, but like, what does Citizen kind of think about these kind of things? Like, what's your answer for that?
I mean, he doesn't look at the stats, like he's just looking at Secret. Like people say, oh, he had bad stats on DZ. Like, go look at my DZ stats. They are not bad. Like, I don't know where this consensus comes from that I have bad stats. And with the personality thing, it's not like a fact of like DZ again, we're rebranding. Brandon I'll be open. Like Brandon said, that they were going to do like payment cuts. So is it worth
Yep.
for me to fly over to America on a cut salary and, you know, do more time over there? It's just, I thought, no, like I'd rather be back in EU, get stay home with my family, stuff like that, and play from there, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah.
I mean,
It's a pretty damn good answer. I mean,
Yeah, I mean-
go ahead.
I mean, Brandon literally on the phone said like he was thanking me for like helping DZ that year. I was playing, like he even said himself how good I was playing, you know, like, so it's not me just sitting there LARPing. Like I've been told by, I'd rather trust, yeah, I'd rather trust an opinion of someone that actually matters, like Brandon, who is on a good team, than just Midnight Hex, Drip Bullion Smurf or something. I don't know, you know, like.
I will say too that I've had conversations with Brandon just as a friend, just kind of talking about like the team and the roster, and he always said good things about you kind of joining the team. It's also, I was also kind of hating on the team at first, but then I kind of realized you and Nick are someone that like values your life in like good ways and knows how to like clutch situations. So actually like we got to see that in that first half of DZ. You were most notably, I mean, there's a bunch, I know you probably don't go on the Reddit. You probably stay away like a smart human. But there were a couple threads on there early DZ times where you were a top 5 NA player, right? People would, you were stat wise, you were a top 5 for 2 stages, I think, technically, with like reload as well. So I don't know where all like, you know, the recent kind of hate, I guess, comes from, but like to go at your stats is probably the last thing they kind of want to go after. I feel like you've been pretty consistent for majority of your career. The secret time you've already covered was a complete mess from your point of view, which is understandable. I think that's what's cool about you coming on the podcast here is we're able to hear both sides and kind of get to maybe piece it together ourselves, maybe kind of what happened there. But yeah, just I know this is again what people are going to like tune in for because they're going to want to know how you kind of address these kinds of things. Your name gets put there all the time with why do you keep going to all these different teams? Even Des making a tweet like that, like, hey, 6.5 or whatever it was, 6 team in 2.5 years. You just kind of dealt a bad hand at a lot of these, it seems like, or you're just going through a lot of North America. A lot of them you actually got to leave on your own too.
Yeah, it's only MAT and Secret that actually, well, DZ's kind of 50-50 because it's like more or less they were going to pick up the SSG roster, but still, it's not like they said, "Oh, you're kicked. You're going to go to the bench or whatever." I had the decision. Just Secret and MAT were the only 2 teams where it wasn't my decision.
And M80 makes sense. I don't think anyone ever has a decision to leave M80. So those
Yeah,
guys
I mean,
it's like I'm changing my underwear. Like, goddamn.
I mean, with the personality thing, it's literally only G2 that has happened. Like, this is what I mean, where it's this LARP of like where it just comes out of nowhere about them saying about, oh, like this guy's clashing with this guy. It's like Sonic's. It wasn't me clashing. It was the coaches clashing with everyone. Like, it wasn't just me. Like, it was having an argument. You know, there was, you know, players tried making changes of coaches, got threatened with their jobs going. You know, like that's not me doing that. That's someone else. Same on MAE as well. Like, there was no personality clash. It was more just coaches wanted to get revenge or whatever. War under the bridge. Like, I don't know. Like, that's why I don't seem to bother replying to these tweets or Reddit posts or whatever. Because it's just in my head, like, if I'm not doing something, like, why do I have to show attention to it?
I mean, I think distancing yourself from that stuff helps keep you sane.
Yeah.
You know, you and I talked about this a little bit in DMs, and it's just like Reddit can just like they spiral really quickly. You can be their favorite player today, and then tomorrow you're dog shit. I mean, like look at Houghton. Like Houghton's very first game with wildcard at Salt Lake City. I mean, you're an idiot if you're not just tweeting the word hot and cold on Twitter after that game, right? Like that's free impressions, that's free clicks. And then I think it was the next day, his numbers weren't very good. And people were like, oh, he just had one good game, blah, blah. And it's just like the pendulum doesn't swing this quickly, folks. Like, let's relax a little bit here. Like it doesn't, not everything's a 10 and a 0. Like there are numbers in between those two where we can have a nuanced conversation about this kind of stuff. But I think this is a larger gripe with the internet in general, which is where like outrage and extremism often gets people engaged. Whereas like middle of the road, sensible, like, lukewarm takes don't really get people talking. You know, like even if you're dead wrong, if you come out and you're like, you know, dropping hot and cold was the dumbest fucking thing they could have done, or dropping hot and cold was the smartest thing they've ever done, like you're going to get people talking. But if you're like, I can see the reasons for this, blah, blah, let's have a conversation about it, most people are not going to bother to engage with that because they just want to be outlandish and outrageous, you know? So like, I think it's cool. And I've said this so many times. I think it's really cool in esports how accessible we are. Like I just had a kid literally like DM me because he's doing like a school project and it's about like broadcasting. I've had students reach out to me before to be like, you know, I'm doing like an independent study unit. I'm doing coursework. You know, like, can I just ask you a couple questions just for my schoolwork? And it's like, yeah, I love being able to do that. I love that I'm accessible and like I can help people, like, and I can respond to DMs and, you know, like you can in my Discord, like you can reach me. But then it's like it cuts back the other way where it's like I go on the subreddit usually once or twice a day and you read a lot of stuff that even if it's not about me, I just read it and I'm like, I wish I hadn't devoted the time of my day to this. It does not get me anything. And it's, you know, it's a byproduct of social media. A lot of people sharing their opinions, many of whom might be bots. But the hope is, at least with this show and all types of content like this, is that whether it be you, whether it be other people who are, you know, equally as strong a lightning rod, that you can start to inform the audience of things that are maybe things that they hadn't thought of before, and maybe kind of change the way that people discuss this stuff. That's the hope. And maybe it's just a lofty goal and it won't ever be achieved. But, you know, I think it's important. And that's why we say, you know, if people have a good story to tell and we feel like they can clear the air, we'll always bring them on to do so. And, you know, I hopefully, you know, shows a different side of people, especially for somebody like you in this particular case, where you don't engage with that stuff. So you never really defend yourself because you think it's not worth your time. But to a lot of people, they're never able to get, you know, the counterpoint. So.
Yeah. Also to add on that as well, like even from like Nath as well, he says good things about me, and also from Team Secret, even though I didn't play good, like individually. If you ask anyone from that team, even messages from Savage, he says like how I was as a teammate. You can ask him; he'll give an honest opinion of me. I'm sure it won't be a bad one.
Yeah, like I care. Like when I say something stupid on a broadcast, like, and a pro comes up to me to give me criticism or feedback, that matters infinitely more than, you know, a random person tagging me on Twitter saying like, you know, like you got this call wrong. Like, okay. Like, or somebody's like, oh, you know, like every now and then somebody would be like, oh, he jokes around too much. And it's like, if my bosses think I'm joking around too much, then I'm concerned. If one or two random people in the community think I joke around too much because they don't like my style of humor or don't want humor in their broadcast, I don't really care about that as much, right? Like the people that matter to you, your peers, those are the people whose opinions should matter more than anything, because those people, well, they matter to you and they tend to know a little more. I don't know if Kyle finds that the same, as he subjects himself to the opinions of the public all the time when he co-streams.
I try not to. I try not to listen to anybody, but hey, sometimes some rage bait gets me. That's what streaming and doing things.
I love rage bait though. I love just getting stun locked.
You love being rage baited, or you? Love
I think it's really fun.
Somebody.
I think stun locking people obviously is very fun. I like doing the sowing. I don't like doing the reaping. You know, so it's like I'm here to like, I'll seed the rage bait, but it's like I don't want to like harvest that myself. You know, like, that's not my style. But
I think that's the superpower, as I learned, like as we get older. Maybe you can agree with me on this, but like I feel like we just care less and less what others kind of think about us. As opposed to when I was in my 20s or even competing. Like now it's like I'm just doing things for fun. I already have like my family and people around me that I really care about. Like as long as you have something in your life or some support system, like it's all in good fun at the end of the day. But
I think insecurity is a big driver of it. And I like to think that as you get older and you mature, insecurity becomes less of an issue. Now, I mean, that's not to say you won't meet people who are deeply insecure in their 50s, 60s, 70s. But like, I remember when I first started casting, you know, I was in my late 20s. And because it was new to me and because I was competitive and I wanted to be good, I was a little insecure about my own position and stuff like that, you know. And I've talked about this before. The stuff I used to tweet definitely was like hey, like look at me, like I'm trying to grow my brand. I'm a bit shameless with it, which I think is almost a necessity these days, but it's not who I am as a person. Like I don't like to think like I'm a showboater as a real person, but I definitely was. online. And now as I've just gotten older, it's like, I try to avoid social media. And Ben, I mean, you're one of the older players in the league. I don't know if you've experienced that because you've basically grown up into adulthood as a pro. I mean, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that. If you've become more secure in yourself and you care less about the opinions of others as you've gotten older.
Definitely not. I mean, losing in secret, going on YouTube, seeing drip bullying video, like, am I meant to care about that? You know, like, I'm meant to care about a guy whose biggest achievement is saying Surf is a good player. You know, like, stuff like that doesn't affect me. He's doing it for money. Obviously, like, stuff like that is just negative as well, because like he makes a video, he's trolling, like he doesn't really care himself, but then like obviously people see it and they're like, oh, well, I'm hating on this guy as well now. So now, like, I think that's also where it stems from as well.
I think that's the kind of thing that turns me off the most, is like, grifting has always been irritating because it's like, try to believe in the things you say, but like, if all you're going to be is like, and I'm not saying this about drip in particular, but if all you're going to be is like a smear merchant, if your whole job is to just rile people up and make people angry, and while doing so, either advertently or inadvertently direct that anger and hatred towards a person, the only value you're really creating is negativity. And I just like, when I was younger, I used to think like trolling was funny and like griefing was funny and blah, but I was a teenager. Every underdeveloped teenager is going to think like trolling and griefing is funny, or at least a lot of them are. Now that I'm older, I'm just like, you only have so much time on Earth. You only have so many words and interactions you're going to be able to put out there. Why would you waste parts of your life creating nothing of value? All you're doing is just like creating negativity and drama and anger. And I'm just like, to me, I'm like, that just seems like a waste. Like, I like pity people who just like all they do is just like rage. Like we saw it the other day with like, I don't know, fucking, was it like some Resident Evil game has like a female character in it? And of course that fucking set off a huge portion of the internet, because God forbid there be a woman in a video game. And I'm just like, I just go and I clicked on a couple of these Twitter profiles, and literally all they do is they post like 30 times a day. And every single tweet or post is just like, how gaming sucks, how this game sucks, how bad woke is, how this, that, the other thing. And I'm just reading it. I'm like, your whole life is negativity. I pity people like that. Like, find a purpose where you can actually be content with creating something of value rather than just whatever the hell this is. And again, maybe it's just because we're older, but like, I don't see any value in that. I'm like, I pity people. Like I'm like you, like, I have a loving partner. I love where I live. I have a good job. Like, I, for the most part, have my health. Like, I still have my family and friends around me. Like, why do I want to be bogged down in negativity? I don't. I want to embrace all the cool and good shit in my life. That's what I want to do.
You got a great head of hair and get yourself a great set of golf clubs, and your life is set. Let's go.
And go hit some drivers. That's what you need to do. Get out there.
Yeah, they got that in Canada. You got golfers. You got golfers.
You got top
over there?
golf.
I'm sure.
Mike Weir is a Canadian golfer, and he won the Masters. And I remember saying his name, and Mint was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And I was like, "That's a former Masters winner. He's from Canada."
What year? Come on now.
I think it was like 2008.
Oh, it's not bad at all.
When was it? When did Mike Weir win the Masters?
2003.
2003. Okay, way longer.
10.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever, guys.
Too long.
The only golf I play is Mario Golf, and it is fun as hell.
Great
So
game.
I will.
Great game.
Great game. Anything we missed? Anything you want to reference? Just conscious of time at this point in time. We're about to hit 3 hours. We're very close to 3 hours. I don't know if we're going to make it there. We might be able to, but I mean, we're not here for a specific set of time. We're here to tell a story. And I mean, you've got a long history worth sharing, and I'm glad with everything you were able to say. Do you have anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't address?
Not really. I think everything team-wise was addressed, to be honest.
Can I ask, you can tell me now, but you mentioned about Sonics, and you guys wanted to get rid of a certain coach. I heard a rumor that you guys were trying to get rid of Goddess at the time because she didn't really do anything as a coach, and then Super came in with the big GM hammer and said, we are not getting rid of Goddess. And then there might have been some revenge there of trying to get rid of people that maybe wanted to get rid of her. Was that Is that basically the gist of that?
I mean, I don't know about the revenge thing, but I was
Yeah.
I was new to that. I remember just joining, and they were already like trying to do it or whatever. And yeah, I just remember Super just saying about don't do that or you lose your job, like plain and simple.
Yeah, because I think I heard something like she's more important than any of you, or like some comment like that. Like she's not going anywhere.
Someone's been leaking.
Which is kind of a crazy comment to
Someone
make,
has
but
been
I think
leaking,
at the
yeah.
time he was dating her, I believe, or something like that. So that, yeah.
I mean, that's
Maybe
Sonic's
some
team,
leaks, but
I genuinely think we should have won an event in that Sonic's team. Like we lost to Furia twice when we was performing good. Even like Copenhagen, like losing to W7M. Like, I still think then we could have beaten them, even if they were playing like crazy. Like,
I was gonna say they dog walked the grand finals in Copenhagen. That was
yeah.
They took Liquid out back and shot them.
Same in DZ. I had the same hopes in DZ first half. I was like, damn, we're gonna win something. I feel it. Lose the Weibo.
so. I thought so.
Yeah.
I was so bad when I didn't see spirits on a shield anymore. But now I know he's somewhere where I don't think Hot and Cold's gonna let him off a shield. So he's chained up.
Back to his
roots. This is a story with a lot of teams though, Kyle. Like think about it. There's only one team that can win. Right? There's only one winner per event. Like and the second best team could be the team that gets eliminated by the eventual winner in the quarterfinals. You know, like you could have, like in theory, you could have the grand finals happening in the, you know, the very first match of, you know, the Friday. It's you don't always get the two best teams meeting in the grand finals every single event. You don't. And, you know, sometimes it's just you wake up and you're in a bad mood, or you wake up and you get some shakes, you get the yips, or, you know, you come up against somebody who just has a life game out of nowhere. Like look at Shuttle. Like, I mean, there was that one Astralis game where it was like Shuttle was like statistically like the second worst player. And then I can't remember I think it was Charlotte, actually. It might have been, where it was like, and then in some really important game, he went nuclear. It wasn't the grand finals. No, it was another game. But I just remember
like that with Shuttle. Is there a Shuttle story?
I think that was against Sonics.
Oh, okay.
Was it?
1v4. God.
Yeah, I was like, there were just moments where Shuttle, who like literally was just roadkill, like time and time again, just like just statistically really, really bad, and then he would just take over a round or take over a couple rounds, and it's just like, what can you do? Like sometimes you just run into players like that, and there's nothing you can do. And I mean, like Shuttle's an amazing player, for the record. If anybody's watching this and think I'm slandering him, I'm not. I'm just saying I'm using him as an example where it's like, sorry,
he popped off yesterday. DZ Academy, him and
DZ Academy with Iconic
still got it. Shuttle was shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, you're right, and like it's even rock paper scissors siege, right? Like Rexon will say it all the time, where like it's just, or I'll hear other pros say it, like when that bracket gets put out, you finally make it to the playoffs, you see what teams are in front of you. Sometimes you just know what kind of teams are in front of you. You think you could beat them, and sometimes you're just like, oh, that's our counter, you know? Someone just in front of you. Like, who knows if we said it with Troy on the episode? Who knows if Twisted Minds would have beat DZ, or even
no,
either
Twisted
way?
Minds SR. It was FaZe DZ.
Let's say Phase 1. FaZe and Shopify historically play extremely close. Maybe that's with Shopify. Yeah. Maybe they get the home buff advantage, and maybe they're able to win Salt Lake City. Like it's just certain teams just beat certain teams, and then sometimes, like you said, we have life games and things like that. Like that's why we don't play it on paper. We got to play it in the game. Isn't that what they say in football? You got to play it on the field.
Yeah, we say matches aren't played on paper; they're played in the server.
Oh, that's what we say. Yeah,
that's what we say.
That sounds real tough.
We played in the server. It sounds lame, but that's okay. We have to adapt for the field that we play on. But no, Ben, I'm very glad you're able to come on and share your story with us. I mean, I will say, like, you and I have spoken a bit, but you've never been a player that I've been super familiar with. And honestly, I think a lot of it's EU. I haven't, ever since the leagues all kind of broke apart, I haven't been as close with a lot of the EU players as I used to be when we were casting them. And it's good to have you on here. You know, like, I think perspective is important for a lot of people. I think you're probably under no illusion there will be a substantial amount of people who are going to hate watch this episode. And I think, if I may say, objectively speaking, you didn't really give them much to hate you on. So, I mean, like, you've defanged a lot of these people who are going to be looking for blood. And I don't fault you for staying quiet on social media, but I do think you are a big enough voice where you can counterpunch. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think defending yourself, I think it's noble for you to not wade into the mucky muck, but I think sometimes being able to defend yourself is important because it will shut people up. Like public perception and public opinion can be swung pretty quickly, especially by people who are not the most knowledgeable. So if you come in and you kind of drop your nuts on people and start spitting some facts, I think honestly it could help. But again, I'm not here trying to tell you how to run your own social media, but I do think you're the type of guy where I think you command attention and can honestly command more respect by counterpunching when you become the proverbial punching bag on social media. And I don't think it would be a bad idea, but if you think it's silly, by all means, don't take my advice to heart.
Oh my!
I love getting into fights on Twitter. So I mean, like,
it's all the politics. I don't like politics.
I cannot say the same. So, but no, I thought you were wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing your side of the story. Good luck with Fnatic. We will all be eagerly watching you. Should you make it to a live event, I'd be delighted to cast you yet again. I will say you are an electric player to cast because you do have a lot of pop-off moments, largely because of the roles you play. So you make my job really easy. I just sit and watch you do things and then yell. It's very simple stuff. And it's exciting. It's an exciting play style, even if, it does get you condemnation from certain parts of the community. I think creates a lot of highlight reel moments. So on that end, I appreciate you coming on here, sharing your story. I appreciate your gameplay and hope that you do well on Fnatic. Kyle, do you have
all I was going to say, of course, is don't sell my boy Wizard. Don't sell him.
Oh,
help my boy out.
Wizard.
That guy's too good. I want to see Fnatic succeed. My thing is too, like looking at the EU landscape, me as an NA, we're the best region in the world, baby. We had 3 in the top 8. Brazil 1. Right?
It's the century of humiliation for Brazil.
And I think Fnatic, they could be competitive. I think you guys can, obviously, to make the top 4. I think it's G2 and Falcons for me. I know Twisted Minds, but they have those problems sometimes online. And then, obviously, Seeker fell off a cliff. I think VP are beatable. I think they're a good team, but they're beatable. So it's like, I think the door is wide open over there in EML. So I'm really excited to start watching on Monday. Like I said, I think there's only like 2 spots locked in. So I think it's going to be a very competitive stage. And I'm excited to watch you guys.
Yep. Thank you guys for having me. It's been fun.
Absolutely,
First podcast ever.
And there you go. And I think having Nafon was also good because I know that you guys took a lot of lumps with both of your respective teams and the journey to get here. And I think Naf was a terrific guest because sometimes it is really important that you get to hear the other side because it's not usually just one perspective. It's usually a multitude of perspectives all kind of coming together to find that truth. And with somebody like you take a disproportionate beating on social media. So being able to just share your perspective will hopefully quiet some of those voices and I think earn you the accolades and respect that you frankly deserve and you don't get from a significant portion of, well, you call them trolls, whatever you want to call them, etc. So I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story and spending time with us this afternoon. And when people watch this, it will be probably moments before your first game. So good luck in a couple hours when you play in the future. So we'll make sure we get our thumbnail artist to put like a Fnatic jersey on you instead of Team Secret.
Yeah,
some AI swap.
We do not use AI for our thumbnails. Then no.
We've moved away from that. Jesus Christ,
No.
I need that changed now. I'm Secret. I'm on the main game and I've got an AI picture. You know how crazy that is? Like,
Do you really?
yes.
Yes.
Full AI picture from Secret. It's so
Oh
bad.
Jesus. That was AI.
Yeah.
I have my thoughts on Secret that I will keep to myself. So I will just say, now that we have reached the end of the episode, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. As we are going to be getting into the swing of Stage 1, we might have fewer guests on over the next couple weeks. That's just because they're probably going to be busy scrimming and practicing and doing VOD review and playing in their matches, which means a couple things. If we do bring on a guest, it will likely be somebody who is not tied down. Jesse Chick, for example, is an upcoming guest of ours. We need to figure out the timing on that. We might also have Fett make his return so that he can eat on broadcast and stim while talking about the results. But beyond that, we are going to watch the stage 1 results together. Shows will obviously continue to be weekly. We want to thank Citizen for coming on, sharing his time, and also all of the guests that have joined us over the last couple months while we waited for stage 1 to get back. As always, on behalf of Last Free Nation, on behalf of Fett, Troy, Mint, myself, special thanks to Citizen, producer David, and of course you, the viewer. Leave a like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you want with this content, and we'll see you on the next episode of Down But Not Out. Take care.